A dreamy estate sprawled out before him, lavish, spotless grounds, a garden bursting with life, and right there, a stunning blonde stood in front of it all, like he'd stumbled into the perfect autumn harvest dream. The hero squints at the season and wonders if this is some kind of autumn game, but then he keeps sipping his tea and promises himself he'll figure it out later. Blotting leans in, demanding, "Are you even listening to me?" He shoots back that of course he's listening, but she keeps talking, and right when she's about to finish, the hero cuts in, calling it insanely exciting. She groans that she hasn't even wrapped it up yet, swears she's fed up, then demands he act like a gentleman and tells him to at least be a little more like Roy. He had no clue who Roy even was, then people started bringing him up and suddenly it clicked. It was some autumn game because that blonde wouldn't stop talking about him. The crazy part? He stayed totally detached until that name finally hit his ears and everything snapped into place. Roy's the first prince and the beating heart of your star, your main guy, if I've got it right, because in this world the whole game boils down to one thing: I do everything for you. I figured out this game fast. I helped my sister beat it, and he still remembers his past life where his younger sister told him about it, because in this world, he's stuck as an only child. Across from him sits Lydia von Ernst, the Duke's daughter and Roy's heroine's bitter rival, ready to spark trouble from the very start. Back in the game, she was Roy's bride and everyone had to treat her with respect. Now they're tucked into one of the corners of her massive garden. He's also the Duke's gardener Isaac Baumgarten's son and student, and while he's off helping his sister play, he doesn't see a single one of the gardener's students. Here are the cases, and he didn't. In the crush of the crowd 3 years ago inside the grand hall of Ernst's estate, he was born again with the memories of a past life, and nothing about it truly helps, at least not yet. He keeps it buried, convinced he can't tell a soul. Then, the moment he arrives at the estate, he becomes his father's student. Now they're inside the Duke's palace right as the Duke strides down the stairs. When she spots Isaac, she blurts out that he's handsome. Isaac stares back at the Duke, thinking the exact same thing. Then his father steps in, tells the Duke that his son is still green, but swears he's confident he can teach him right. And before heading to work, he wants to introduce him. The Duke leans in and the boy, Isaac Baumgartner, introduces himself like it's the biggest moment of his life. The Duke leans in and says, "I'm Harold and I'm thrilled to meet you." Then he squints at Isaac and goes, "You look way too young here, so how old are you?" The father shoots back that his kid is 7 years old, and the herald lights up, saying that at that age he's already tough enough to take on the job of a student. Maybe he's a genius, but my dad says nah, he's just a cheeky little menace. The Duke claims he's just 2 years older than his daughter and wants to play and enjoy life instead of working, but Isaac fires back that's not how it is. He insists on guarding the Duke's garden the moment he possibly can. His father tends the giant garden all by himself, and he's determined to win his respect. So he jumps in, helps out, and keeps the work going. The Duke flashes a smile and says it's wonderful, then quietly admits he'd love to have a son like that. The girl barges into the room and the Duke coos, calling her a sweet little angel, but when he asks where she's been all morning, she snaps, telling her father it's too much. The maid he hired for her turned out to be downright disgusting. When she tried to brush her hair, the comb snagged and she got hurt bad. The Duke gently strokes her head, gushes that his dye has the softest, most beautiful hair, and admits he can only imagine how much she's endured. She screams at him to free that poor armless fool right now, and the whole room comes crashing down. Silence hung in the air, then Isaac snaps, telling her straight up, "You've got a terrible temper." Every head in the room whips around to stare at him like something just lit the fuse. His father smacks him on the head and barks for an apology, but Isaac clams up and says nothing. Because no matter how noble she's born, that doesn't give her the right to order people around like her left foot runs the world, and Isaac can't wrap his head around why he should even apologize to her. The girl snaps back, "What did you say?" And Isaac grins as he tells her she's a little girl with a nasty attitude and horrible manners, one who'll grow up into some rare freak. Then she fires back, "Do you even know who you're talking to?" Isaac snaps back that she's the Duke's daughter, then she's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what you did." And Isaac's just thinking, did he really believe regular people could talk to aristocrats like this? Isaac leans in and asks the girl if her father really is powerful. She nods and he wastes no time asking if she's powerful too. She confirms again, then Isaac presses, "So what's your strength?" And she answers with a sharp smile, "That's exactly what this is about." Isaac fires back his question about her authority, grilling her until she mentions the Duke's reputation for crushing responsibility and handling a mountain of duties. Yet Isaac can't see why that reputation even matters, and she snaps that she's an Ernst. Then Isaac presses again, saying her father, the family head, should be the one with the exclusive right to decide who gets cut. and the girl just freezes, clueless on what to answer. She whips her hand across his face and he stares back at her with a terrifying, unblinking glare, while the girl freezes in pure shock. The boy snaps that if she's resorting to violence, she's basically admitting she's beaten, and he's only just realizing she hasn't even drawn his best move yet. She clearly can't answer his question, and you can tell she knows she's miles away from her father. The girl squeezes her fists tight, whips around, and bolts away. Isaac can feel the danger closing in from his own father, but the Duke steps in, stops him right in his tracks. And, "Thanks, Isaac." Then the boy steps in and begs to accept his apology, confused about what even happened and realizing he never thought through the words he'd said to his daughter, while the Duke cuts in and says, "No, you're wrong. He didn't ruin anything. He just saved you." Isaac almost never finds the nerve to even say a word to her, but the idea of answering her with a question has him curious, so he has to try it somehow. He remembers how this trick was tested on his sister in his previous life. Then the butler steps out and calls the Duke back to that moment, and the Duke snaps, "I have to go," promising he'll be back soon. As he heads out, he leans in to Isaac and declares that his beloved Dea is angel beautiful, and that her inner world shines just as bright. He nods in agreement, then can't help wondering why every parent seems to worship their kids so blindly. As soon as they step out of the Duke's house, his father rips into him, so he admits he should have apologized properly. Isaac nods fast and blurts, "I'm terribly, terribly sorry." Daya sits on a table on the open veranda, digging into her lunch like it's the best part of her day. She thought she had nothing to say, bolted out fast, then swore she'd come right back and shut that ignoramus down the second she found out who's actually in charge. She fires off a question to the maid, "Who's that stranger from this morning?" The maid replies that he was hanging around with Mr. Bumgartner and looks like the gardener's apprentice. The girl snaps in shock because the one who grew up in the den is actually their servant. She can't stop wondering how their garden's still standing with workers like that, and once her tea's finished, she decides to slip out for a walk. Gordon, the moment she steps into the garden, she spots a boy hard at work and tells him to pause, but he keeps going and fires back, asking what she wants. "Better," she staggered, out of breath. Daya demanded to know why he worked so far out, and Isaac snapped back, asking if she really crossed the entire enormous garden just to ask that. He demands to know why she's here, and she leans in, telling him she came all this way to give him one more chance to beg for her forgiveness. He stares at this tiny girl and can't believe she ran that far, then blurts, "Are you skipping school?" And Daya shoots back that she has no classes today. Isaac muses that aristocrats' kids juggle tons of personal activities and duties, and she nods like, "Yeah, that's spot on." Then Isaac shoots back an apology for speaking the wrong language. Daya swears she's been through all of this just to beat him, so when he apologizes so easily, she snaps, yelling at him to meet her eyes and to understand he needs to apologize for that too. Isaac snaps that this is too much. He's already burned countless hours apologizing just because his father demanded it, and he's got way more work waiting for him here, at least until sunset. She leans in and asks Isaac what's keeping him so busy, and he tells her he's digging up herbs that push insects away, because if he doesn't, everything gets swarmed and overgrown fast. Thea then demands to know why they need to stay free. When Isaac finds himself cornered, he breaks it down. Grass isn't as innocent as it looks. It spreads like weeds, reproduces the same way, and bulldozes other plants out of the way. She cracks that she never realized even good herbs could turn dangerous, then fires back, "So what are you gonna do with all this?" And he grins, saying he'll check in the kitchen to see if they're needed, then whatever's left, he'll bring straight to his mother. "You can sprinkle them on meat like magic, then toss them in hot water and brew a fresh, flavorful tea." She's stunned. Tea and spices are made from weeds? No way. But before the shock even settles, she's yelling again. He needs to apologize, not start rambling about everything else. He clears up exactly what he owes her an apology for, and everything he just said about her bad behavior all but confirms it. Then he leans in and asks Daya what she'd do if the king flipped and attacked the neighbors, and how her heart would break if her own father were marched off to fight. She snaps that it's pure tyranny and that king is straight up foolish. If that war erupts, innocent people will get crushed. She'll never forgive the king for forcing her father to fight and gambling his life away. Isaac just grins and says she answers every question perfectly, and leans in to ask if she sees any similarities, because what she did to that maid is horrifying. For ordinary folks, work is survival, and even if she was born into nobility, there has to be a real, brutal reason to condemn a maid to death like that. She did it. Now that girl's got one thing on her mind, and she can't stop thinking about what comes next. Isaac leans in and demands to know if she even knows the maid's name. Daya shrugs and admits she has no idea. He leans in and asks if she knows what her real talent is, because it's what made her the best at brewing tea. If she fires them, she'll lose the chance to savor that delicious tea. Yeah, it hurts, but that's not a reason to stop paying attention to the people who serve her. It's not hard, but man, once you do it, the perks stack up fast. He whips around to her and demands what happened, and she nods yes like she's been waiting for him to finally see her. Isaac gently strokes her head, then cuts through the moment. Before she does anything serious, she has to prove she's got a solid reason, because her choices will affect everyone. She's convinced he's the only one who knows everything, and while she brushes her hair, Isaac clocks it instantly. Then she smacks his hand and demands who he's got to blame for this. Isaac was doing his usual talking when Daya blew up, saying he was out of line. "I'm noble," she snapped, "and you're just a commoner." Then she recoiled from the whole idea of being touched, while Isaac, without missing a beat, insisted, "Call me by my name." He even pushed for confirmation. "So you're really Daya, right?" She says only her relatives dare to call her that, and her father gave her the gorgeous name Lydia. Isaac tosses out the names Lidoc or Lydicia, then immediately admits they don't fit her at all, and the girl nods along like she'd felt it too. Isaac tells Daya he'll call her Milady, but Daya shuts him down fast. She reminds him that even if he's basically her age, as her teacher, he should know he's getting it wrong. Milady acts like a child, and if Daya went to the Duke or anyone from the family, they'd back her up, except Daya won't ask them. She swears she can't afford to be reckless or careless, because the fear of getting rejected is eating her alive. Isaac fires off a question: why can't she just sit down and talk to her father? He's sure the Duke will be thrilled. Daya demanded to know where he'd learned it from, and Isaac insisted it was the truth, then told her to trust him and start looking for it herself, because with all these people around and her being a duke's daughter, she should be able to read their habits, moods, and tells without needing someone to spell it out. But maybe she can because she was raised in a truly loving family, he asks. Tell her to stop firing people for petty reasons. She's already screaming, "That's enough," and swears she won't do it again, begging that it's not too late to apologize to. "I did it." Isaac leaned in and asked if he should ask for her name before apologizing, and Daya pouted, silent for a beat, then she finally spoke. What she knows and refuses to back down on is simple. Isaac has to take back everything he said about her terrible temper. He goes dead quiet for ages, then finally blurts out that he's been way too strict. Even with good intentions, he still crossed the line, and it came out way too rude. He gushes that Nelidi is amazing, then admits, once she smiles, her brightness turns blinding. Way more comforting, she's blushing again, and it's making everything feel electric. He asks if she's okay, and she smiles and says she's fine. Then she reaches out, brushing her hair and finding crumbs stuck in it. She's totally stunned, there's dirt all in her hair. Isaac blurts out that it's fertilizer, but right then, without thinking, he pats her on the head, still wearing his work gloves. She shrieks at the top of her lungs. That day felt loaded with tension because of him, and somehow she didn't want it to end. When she storms back to the estate, she's determined to track down that maid's name, apologize to her first, and then, only then, wipe the dirt out of your hair. That very first spring he became a student, the Duke swept him in, leaned close, and thanked him like it meant the world. The steward grabs his attention, tells him to wait a second, and warns that the gentleman might end up getting filthy. Honestly, he's not even sure he earned your gratitude, because to him, what he did doesn't feel like anything special. The Duke leans in and spills the story of how she somehow turned into the most beautiful woman alive. He shoots back that she's always been the best, and now she's somehow even sweeter, and Isaac immediately fires back, asking what connection he even has to him. The Duke claims that ever since he scolded her, DS has been showing up every morning to send him off. Vian, his wife, clocked that Daya was suddenly glued to Flora, her younger sister, and now the whole group crowds around the same table at least once a day, so Daya's got someone to bicker with and he comes home like it's a victory lap. Isaac insists Daya is giving it everything she's got, but the Duke shuts him down. He's sure Isaac is the one who kicked all these changes into motion, because a bird sang to him, and ever since, he's been talking with it nonstop. She shows up every few days, no matter what, and pours out every detail, while he just listens and keeps working like it's his job to take in her whole world. She even told me she patched things up with her maid, Catherine, and that her younger sister, Flora, is tiny and unbelievably cute. The Duke grins and tells him straight up that Daya feels like she's finally getting closer to them, because she found a friend her age, then asks him to keep playing nice with her. The Duke grips his hand and Isaac nods, agreeing without hesitation. The Duke declares he'll stop meddling in Isaac's work. Isaac yanks his hand up in farewell, blurts out an apology for the mess, and can't help wondering when he started getting sick so often, while his father snarls that he's back to work right now. At work, the father suddenly steps into boss mode, so he forces himself to act professional. Because he's only a student, he keeps to simple tasks and stays out of the way, yet he watches from the front row as his father works the garden. When he was tiny, his father led him through the courtyard he'd set up for strolls, and seeing those planted flowers burst into bloom for the holiday felt like pure magic, until he finally realized his dad wasn't a wizard at all. Yeah, this world is drenched in magic, and the folks who can command its flow are called wizards. The rest of humanity can barely even touch it, so magical power mostly belongs to aristocrats. His dad has a little earth magic instinct, so he can read what's in the soil, but he never casts a spell, because gardening is about real know-how and skill, not magic tricks. Back in his old life, magic sounded amazing, but now, honestly, it's kinda dull, especially after all the spell stuff from computer games where it feels like high-frequency radio waves are buzzing everywhere, and Isaac is out there watering the plants, stuck wondering what magical melody they should go with. Yang can't help but clock it. Those blazing red dresses and that arrogant attitude make her look absolutely terrible in her eyes. Dio shows up in the garden again and calls him over, demanding what happened today, and Dio answers, "Looks like she ran off to her mother." She didn't just get magic, she inherited it, and since magical talents usually pop up around age 5, it feels like she's just now discovering what she can do. He's thrilled, asks what she's drawn to, and she answers, shaking the room with one word: lightning. Isaac thinks this is exactly what he can't resist, and that means it definitely won't upset her now. Dia sighs that unlike her mother, she can barely pull this off, and the second she tries, her hair starts spinning like it's alive. Isaac grins and says, "Now you can use magic to power the factories," then asks her straight up if she really thinks he's immortal. He offers her a job at the plant, laughs that it could even double as a backup generator, and when Dia snaps, pure rage hits. She starts blasting electric charges out of her. Isaac blurts an apology, admitting he didn't think it through, because her lightning was swirling like a living storm. She gave him the creeps, like she was only lurking because he was the only peer around, and to make it worse, his little sister kept stomping into his life nonstop. He tells Dai that she always shows up in the brightest colors, and that her dress somehow says it all. A pink dress trimmed with delicate lace ribbons, bright in a way that doesn't just catch eyes, it pulls them in. Daya insists this dress shields her like it's armor from the world. She's supposed to be untouchable nobility, but her age won't let her fight back against the people who spit hate and contempt. Still, the dress makes her glow in the crowd and gives her this rush of power, and yeah, it's painfully childish thinking. And yeah, she used to rock red for the same reasons too. Isaac comes back and asks if that part's real, but it's totally not her style. She pauses to think, then Isaac asks what she'd actually want to wear herself. Deer pauses for a beat, then admits she wants to wear softer colors like her mom, but she can't seem to make it happen. Isaac says she's just freaking out about her status, but deep down he's like, come on, her outfit doesn't even matter. She fires off, "Why are you so sure of yourself?" Isaac grins and says, "Because you're beautiful." Daya's cheeks flare bright red. Isaac noticed it again. He leaned in and told Frank, "She's always beautiful, you know," like it was the truth everyone could feel. She's honest, rock solid, and totally unbothered by what anyone else might say. Isaac blurts out why he's like this and what the hell is wrong with him, and when she's mortified, Isaac shoots back, and that's it, he's done with this, bone tired, and he's praying he'll see her again soon in a whole new form, just like he warned her, because this isn't meant for her. A few days later, Melody finally slipped into her cherry blossom dress for the first time, and she came to go see him. Once spring faded, the rainy season crashed in. Isaac Satsum is knee-deep in the garden when he suddenly clocks it. Drizzle is rolling in. Rain's rolling in, and because he's got water magic in his bones, he can feel the storm coming before it even lands. Anxiety tightens in his chest. This doesn't look like a light shower, it's going to be brutal. And my father just mutters that we probably won't get home anytime soon. When the storm erupted, the gardeners dove into a tiny shed, ready to spring into action the moment the garden got hit. Then he said they'd have to tell his mom they were staying the night. He snaps his hands together and summons a dove out of thin air, simple wind magic at its best. The moment it lands, it bursts apart, yet it stays just long enough to carry the message to its destination. In this world, he's not stuck using only the elements he likes. Turns out, Working with them is way easier than he ever expected. To stay perfectly balanced, he trains in the water and then goes even further, mastering other elements too, like wind magic, so powerful it can slip right past everyone's notice. That atomic game, so simple his sister could jump in, still didn't make it easy to figure out. The role-playing rules are packed and even growing grass takes real skill. When he played, he barely cared about the details, so it all slipped out of his head and vanished almost instantly. Daya yells for him and he whips around, telling her to watch out because branches and leaves are raining down. She asks what they're doing and Isaac explains they're trimming the limbs so the trees won't tip to one side. Then she asks if those branches can be used for firewood and Isaac shuts it down, saying it's impossible. He insists the rain will roll in again soon, and Daya can't stop herself from asking, "How do you know?" Isaac admits he's got a thing for water and admits he never told her before. Then she snaps back that she's hearing it for the very first time. Isaac tells her this can't wait, she has to dash inside fast so she doesn't get drenched. Then he insists he still has to tell her something. She leans in, all ears, as he says that today they'll be staying in the annex, the rain won't last much longer, and when it clears, she'll find him there. Daya's eyes go wide, she blurts out, "Wait, you'll be here after sunset, right?" He answers. Daya breaks into a smile and tells him they've got enough work to go around. After dinner, she'll send someone to pick him up. Then she slips out, promising she'll see him again. He can't shake the feeling that Melody's excitement is a little too loud, like trouble's lurking right around the corner, and for a second he's sure something's wrong. This might be the first time he'll meet her family, so he forces himself to calm down, dashes to wash up, and swaps into something decent. But before all that, he has to grab dinner first. Yep, tonight they're cooking for themselves. Their mom handles all the chores, dad takes every heavy job that needs raw muscle, and he jumps in to help her whenever he can. It wasn't that dad couldn't cook. Once he learned from mom, he somehow cooked even better than she did. Sadly, only dad could lift the heavy stuff, and he told mom, "Someday when I grow up, I'll help you carry it." Mom practically beamed, saying she can't wait, so you'd better work hard and pitch in as much as you can. Back in his old life, he was just a regular student, still rushing to help his parents run their family restaurant every single day. You tired of living the same old grind, clock in, eat the same meals, and call it a day. I picked up part-time shifts to squeeze out a few bucks, but it still didn't work out. He wanted to get into the best university, but the truth is back in school, he never really pushed himself. He regrets that smug, self-satisfied attitude the most, because then, right when it mattered, he was gone in a car accident. And right when he was hunting for a job, the doctors dropped the bomb: cancer. He was hauled in for a medical exam, and the results said he's got. He was told the disease had reached its final stage, 3 months, that's all, and it crushed him, leaving him terrified of how to break the news to his family and friends. He never even clocked the rain or the car rolling off without him, and that's how he ended up dying 3 months earlier than he was supposed to. Honestly, he always respected his stubborn old man, the kind who busted his ass his whole life, and that respect hit hard. So he figured the smart move was to grab the restaurant and coast on the inheritance with a backup plan from day one. Only after his father died did it hit him. He was nothing compared to the man who came before. After the revival, he swore he'd live harder, so there'd be zero regrets left to haunt him. No matter what others said, he stood tall in his work, ready to earn his pride through every choice, and the memories from his past life lit the way, helping him settle everything by himself. His father barrels down the stairs, rakes a hand through his hair, smothers him in a hug, and yells for him to hurry, while thunder snarls and rolls in the distance. He hoists him onto his shoulders and sprints him back home, while a brutal wind howls outside. Everything's getting bigger. Dad sprints through the garden at full speed, and Isaac can barely contain his excitement. He blurts that he totally forgot, tells his dad to head to the kitchen, smothers him in a hug, and pours out heartfelt thanks for everything. My dad grins like he's unstoppable and sprints even faster. They march up to the extension, and Isaac can't help but stare. How could the gardener's place be so stunning when their own house looks so plain? He heard the Duke's grandfather had started building it, so he braced for a crumbling ruin, but when he saw it, his jaw dropped in pure shock. He almost brushed off the whole "I need rest" thing, but he promised Melody he'd show up. Then he told his father, "Let me take a bath first, I still have things to handle." Rain starts hammering the windows as he and his father dig into dinner. Then Isaac slips away to take a bath, and suddenly, he hears someone knocking on the door. My father swings the door open and freezes. There's the butler, drenched under an umbrella. He huffs that the lady's waiting for Isaac, and Isaac lights up, says he's already on the move, then flings a towel over his head like he's about to sprint. His father ruffles his hair dry with a towel and tells him, "Grab a raincoat, you're gonna need it." He spots a raincoat, slips it onto Isaac, shoots a grateful nod to his father, then hurries straight to the palace. He's sprawled on a huge sofa in the hall, waiting like a tug-of-war string pulled tight, until that lady calls him, yet his gut already screams something's off. He can't stop wondering if they're really this polite to every commoner, and he just can't fathom what the servants think, like the lord's butler or lady's own maid. Daya barged into the room with Katerina by her side, then turned to Isaac and thanked him for waiting. Daya brings him right up to Fraulein Katharina. He bows low and blurts an apology for his ignorance. Then Daya steps in, introducing the boy as Isaac Baumgartner, the gardener's apprentice. The maid leans in and says, "I'm Katrina," then makes it clear she's serving Mr. Slidia. Isaac beams the moment he meets her, and she tells him to just call her Katrina. Then he gushes that he's lucky to drink the tea she made, because Melody kept praising that same tea to him nonstop and he's dying to taste it himself. Daya snaps in fury and shouts that he needs to stop spouting nonsense. Isaac leans in and tells her not to be shy, because every time she brings up Fraulein Katrina, the woman brews tea from some weird leaves, and now she's not scared anymore. She's even smiling at her. Daya blurts out why he'd say something like that, then taps Isaac on the shoulder. He fires back, asking if she even likes Katrina, and Daya snaps, "Shut up now." Catherine watches them for a second, giggles, and says they look like the kind of friends who'd stick together no matter what. She said she didn't care at all. Isaac swears she doesn't even look mad when she catches Katrina's smile, because, like always, every thought flashes across her face. Daya blurts out, "What happened to your hair?" and he admits that his father tried, then left him with the results. After the bath, he dries off completely, but Daya, clocking his looks, goes, "Nice try, this isn't good enough." He scrambles to defend himself, blurting that he couldn't make her wait, and Daya cuts him off, no excuses. "Katerina, grab the comb the moment you finish brewing the tea," she orders, "then you're dismissed." She follows his orders and rushes back with a comb. Meanwhile, Isaac sips his tea and combs through his hair. And then he leans in, asks if her tea will cool down. She smiles and says Katerina's tea is wonderful even when it's cold. After she brushes his hair into place, she grins and says it's way better like this. Then he leans in and asks what she brought with her. She blurts out in full excitement that she just had to show him her favorite book, this adorable picture book packed with dragons. She shoots him a worried look and asks if she's too childish for him. Isaac shakes his head and says, "No, you're fine, I just can't read." The average person's literacy is painfully bad. He can barely string a few words together, and the room goes dead quiet. Then he snaps that if it's really that bad, she should read to him. And the moment Eddie looks sad or regrets something, he hates it, because he doesn't care at all. Everyone plops down side by side, and she flips open a book just for him to read. He says he'd be happy if she just taught him the letters. Daya snaps back that if you can't do anything, you'll have to teach it, because the second Melita smiles, she's insanely cute. Outside, rain lashes the ground, and Melody sneaks to the gardener's shed alone. Isaac snaps, "What are you doing here?" And she tells him, "You said it, when it rains, you're out of work, so I'm here to teach you." Isaac can't help but wonder maybe she's got nothing else to do either. He guides them to their room, tells them to hang tight, and says he'll check if she's in there. Curious, she scans the room, and after a beat, he finally comes back, cups of tea in hand, begging her forgiveness for keeping her waiting. Daya shoots back, "So you really think you can act this shameless and get away with it?" As they wait, she can't stay still. She fidgets, spins in circles, and drinks in everything around her, like curiosity is eating her alive. Isaac admits he has no idea if they'll enjoy it, then begs them to take a sip of that herbal tea. It's made from herbs that grow right in the kitchen, his mom's special recipe, passed down just for him. The girls take a sip of the tea and light up because it's insanely tasty. Isaac grins and says his mom is gonna be thrilled. Daya swears these herbs are great, but he insists the real magic is in the brewing method, and he'll grin and take the compliment modestly. Isaac eats up the praise, yet Daya fires back that Katerina's tea is absolutely better. Then Isaac begs you not to start comparing, because Katerina is still the true master. Now she pushes the plan back to their sheep and yanks an envelope from her sleeve, demanding he open it right this second. He yanks it open, and there it is, a neat alphabet blasting across the first page in bold capital letters. Melody's letters land in crisp, neat strokes, then the tiny ones follow right after, just as tidy. In this world, paper and writing supplies are pure luxury, the kind a commoner like him never dares to hope for, yet he clocks how flawless her handwriting is. She just shrugs and says, "It's obvious." He turns to Daya and begs her to teach him how to write letters the right way. She just stares like, "I didn't even think to grab paper or anything to write with." Isaac laughs it off and says it's fine because he's got something and he'll bring it. He hauls in a seedling tray packed with soil, plus a stick and a scraper, and declares with full confidence that everything's ready to go. Daya asks what he plans to do with it, then proves it, scribbles on the ground with a stick, wipes it clean with a scraper, and it actually works. Daya can't believe it, he's actually that smart, and Katrina nods right along too, but Daya's still convinced it's just people playing it up. Isaac is convinced only a commoner would come up with something like this, because no one else has ever drawn circles in the dirt with a stone just to play hopscotch. Look, Melites could have been just another kid running up to him, joining the others her age, and living it up like a real childhood, smiling like she truly wanted to. But even trying to track the origin by wandering through working-class neighborhoods is a nightmare. Kidnapping is a real risk, and no matter how cool the trail sounds, it won't shield you from danger. Daya asks what's wrong and what he dreamed, and he insists nothing's wrong, everything's fine. Then he tells her to take care of him and even calls her his teacher, and Daya fires back that that's exactly the right attitude and she'll teach him how to do it. She says we should try to write it, and he nods like it's a done deal. Then Daya leans in and Isaac offers her a quick nap. She refuses coldly, saying she's the teacher, so sleep isn't an option. She drains the last sip, slumps into Katrin's shoulder, and just like that, she's out cold, fast asleep. She tossed it onto the sofa, and he and Katrina erupted in laughter, Katrina even thanking him for it. Isaac finally speaks up. "It should be me apologizing," he says, blaming his own out-of-control behavior. Their behavior just shoved everyone into an even worse mess, so when Catherine said she was over the moon that the stranger backed her up, it sounded like pure victory. Lydia's rage came straight for him. Isaac remembers it wasn't just her, but her father too. Then Catherine throws her head back and laughs. She admits she's nowhere near as capable as her sisters and insists she can't become an Aries like her brother, because if she ever loses her job, she'll bring the whole family to ruin. Melody then drops the bombshell. The Ligard family's head is a baronet, so they don't even have their own land. For daughters of families like that, life usually meant forging ties by serving powerful lords or getting locked into political marriages. So when Catherine's father stripped her of her home and shoved her into work, it wasn't just cruelty, it was a trap. If she ever got freed, she'd be tossed aside with no roof and no support. Katrina bursts out that she couldn't be happier than she is right now, serving Mrs. Lydia. When he stares at them now, they look like sisters to him, and yeah, it all goes back to that incident. So yeah, that moment's already in the past. He told her she looks like a daisy, and the second she laughs, it's like that flower just burst into bloom. Then he goes, "Nobody's going to marry you," and you can't miss the fact that her father's judgment is completely off. She snaps back that it isn't true, but Isaac is convinced this issue has to be confronted. Lydia's mumbling in her sleep, like she's fighting some secret battle in her dreams. And Isaac spots the lady conked out, fast asleep where she sits. Catherine swears the lady didn't stay up late last night. Then Isaac blurts, "Wait, why didn't she?" Katrin says she was locked in her writing, and Lilia wouldn't stop until it all looked right. Then Isaac snatches the papers and swears he'll hold onto them. His father calls out to him and names him Ake. Then he rushes into the room and announces, "It's time." Lydia jolts awake, Katrina beams, "Good morning," and Lydia, still half asleep, can't stop wondering why Mika was called. He claims it's his nickname and tells her she's allowed to use it too. Lydia Grice. Then it hits him, he remembers the truth and blurts that she's wrong. Isaac immediately turns to her and demands, "What are you talking about?" He leans in and asks what's wrong, and she snaps back that her behavior doesn't match a young duke's daughter, and Isaac tries to remind her how she used to smile so sweetly. She shuts him down fast, telling him to drop it and forget she ever said anything. The Duke pens a letter saying his daughter now sees him off with a bright smile, and her quiet, slightly shy restraint is so irresistibly charming it practically melts him. The steward greets him with respect, then asks if he'd rather swing tools than talk, and the Duke cracks a joke that his hands sure aren't made for idleness. The steward warns that if he goes quiet for even a moment, he can work even faster. Then the Duke snaps that he'll die unless he pours his family's love out to the whole world, and nobody knows if the steward was aiming at death in the first place. First, he demanded the Duke keep quiet about it beyond the estate, but now he's fighting himself just to act normal at work. The butler swears his adoration has no limits, and the Duke nods, saying his love for the family knows no ceiling either. Then Heinz's face tightens the moment he hears it. He pleads with the Duke to weigh his role and everyone's opinions. Even though he's a loyal man, still, countless women throw themselves at him and it never works, because the Duke always thinks things through with cold, calm precision. With a soft, gentle smile, he earned a legendary title, the Ice Duke. There's one more reason he's got that nickname. He's freakishly gifted with two elements, water and wind, and that combo lets him unleash ice magic. His magical power blows past any human, and at just 24, he used that same gift to rise to the top, running 3 ministries at once: magic, health, and agriculture. This earned him the nickname Triglo, and even with his high status, no shady rumors fly around the Duke for a reason. He's so on top of his game that people can't even find a crack to exploit. Harold's world had no clue that the icy Duke was about to melt into the family circle. As long as he's got a family, he doesn't care a single bit what anyone else thinks. Hayne tells me that when Mrs. Lydia heard how hard he'd been working, her heart filled with pure admiration and respect. And the Duke, he swears he'll do everything he possibly can for his precious daughter. The Duke bursts into laughter and praises his wonderful assistant. Then Hayne steps forward and claims, "That's right, now you've got me as your steward." Right as he finishes, a loud knock slams at the door. Dia blurted out, "Is my father here?" And the Duke fired back that an angel had fallen from heaven wearing Lydia's face, while Heinz yanked the door open and snapped, "This is already way too much." Duke swore he was only telling the truth. Then he demanded answers, asking what happened and why she showed up while he was working. She admitted she heard he'd barely had any business today. She said they could go to Flora together, then asked if she was getting in the way right then. The Duke snapped it up as a great idea and practically couldn't wait to spend time with his princesses, especially since the letters were already written. The butler T knows exactly when he set it in motion. They stride through the castle and the Duke rushes to apologize, swearing she's usually stuck busy all day. Lydia beams and says she's proud of how hard he's been working, and the Duke swears everything's better now since he finally earned results. Then his mind drifts to Deli's because she's teaming up with Isaac. Lydia clutches a book and blurts that it's for Flora, then her father immediately presses, "Isn't it too early?" And Lydia grins, saying it's different, she'll show him later, and he answers with a promise that he'll be waiting for it. Flora and her mother step into the room and the Duke wastes no time. He leans in, praises his wife, and tells her she's still stunning, like a living goddess. Lydia slips out from behind him and asks, "Can you see me?" When Fia spots Gerald and Lydia, joy hits her like lightning. She's certain Flora will be thrilled too. Via leans in, desperate to finally see them. Then the Duke rushes in, breathless, and throws out a sincere apology for the delay, while Via just flashes a warm smile and says it must have been an urgent mess again. He swears he had to churn out a bunch of letters. My wife checks it and boom, he's right, because everyone's eating it up and calling it a hit. The Duke admits his workload at the office never satisfies him. He just wants one thing, to be needed by her. With warm smiles, Lydia sits down and plays as Flora, praising her like she's the nicest thing ever. Then the two of them just sink into the time together. As soon as the rain finally lets up, the Duke grabs the moment and suggests they go for a walk. Lydia practically bursts with joy and says that if they go, she knows the perfect spot to stare at the hydrangeas. My father nods along and adds that she must know that garden inside out. Lydia admits she's been heading there a lot lately. The herald leans in and asks if Isaac has ever been mentioned to her, and Lydia snaps back loudly with a warning. VA tells everyone she heard the servants spot Dia with the young gardener's apprentice, and it enrages her that Dia never brought it up herself. Dia snaps back that she was terrified her mother would take offense because he's just a commoner. Via shoots her a question, asking if he's a close friend to her. She freezes for a heartbeat, then gives a sharp, confident nod. Via blurts out that she wants to meet him. Lydia's heart lifts with joy and relief. She tells Pike, "If you slip and get rude, I'll personally set you straight." And her mother clocks how close they've become, so they start calling each other by their nicknames. Lydia shrieks that she's totally wrong. Gerald jokes that should he start getting jealous of Isaac, and Mom snaps back that if Lydia's that worried, then Isaac must be an amazing guy. Dia screams they've got it all wrong, and Mom and Dad burst out laughing. She's talking to her father, and since we're already on this topic, she's about to drop something important. She shoots her hand out with the book and blurts what she's been dying to ask, and Isaac jumps in with the idea, "Let's write back and forth in the diary with letters." She knows Dad is swamped, but she sees a chance to sharpen her handwriting, so she asks, "Is this a bad idea?" He thanks God for gifting him such a daughter, beams that he's thrilled, and announces they'll begin today. Then the butler snatches the diary and swears he'll take care of it. The enraged herald snaps that it's his and Diaz's, yet Haynes can't stand it, so the herald lays it out. He'll return it once they finally get some free time, and V nods along because the herald's slammed with duties. Then Han storms off and takes the diarrhea with him. Lydia sobs through her tears as she yells for her father at the same time. They wanted to go for a walk, so off they went, and he agrees. Isaac's in the kitchen watching the chefs like a hawk, and he blurts out, "Tell me how I can become a star." One of the cooks pushes him, "So you got beaten?" And Isaac snaps back, "Nah, I haven't even fought anyone." The cook smirks and says it's gotta be because of a girl, so now I'm dying to know what girl. The second one thinks it's some young lady, and another cook snaps at him to zip it. Isaac refuses to buy it. Then the cook throws out a wild idea. Maybe it's a childhood friend who lives here right now. Next door, Isaac's convinced they can talk however they want, like any of them actually has a girlfriend. He chases Strength, and one of the cooks lets out a laugh, slaps him on the back, and says the chick can barely fly. But somehow it's already reaching for the eagles. Right then, someone storms in and asks what they're doing here, and it's Heinz. One day, the cook blurts out that Heinz showed up right on schedule. This kid craves strength, so he corners him and demands he train him. He realizes it's the Duke's valet, and the cook leans in to tell him, "These Herr Heinz are just cool." He started serving because the Knight's higher circle recommended him, and right away the steward warned him, "Don't butter me up." Isaac still couldn't shake the doubt. Was the steward really that tough, or just pretending? He looks like a battle butler ripped straight out of a manga. Then he tells you to talk somewhere else and walks off, introducing himself as Heinz von Driss. The boy snaps back, "I'm Isaac Baumgartner," and the butler just smirks. "I know." He blurts out, "Why do I have to get stronger?" Isaac shoots back that he'll protect Milady, no matter what. The steward snaps in surprise and tells Isaac to picture this. He and Lady Lydia stumble onto a gang of thieves, then demands what Isaac would do, and Isaac wastes no time. "I'd snatch her up and bolt." The steward leans in and asks if Isaac was alone, and Isaac snaps back that he'd have bolted, straight up. When the steward presses for why, Isaac blurts that they could be armed and reinforcements might show up. But with no real clue about what the enemy's like, Isaac says a guy like him can't do anything, so he'd run, hide, or flee to somewhere safe. On the right, no matter how alone he is, he'll fight to protect the ones he loves, and in the butler's eyes, it's crystal clear. In this whole world, he's the only one. People tell Isaac it's a good idea, and then they pitch him this plan. Once or twice a week, for a few hours, he'll train martial arts with them, with the schedule synced up with Danny. Since the job already keeps him moving, Isaac, at his age, works out daily with 50 push-ups, 50 squats, 50 crunches, and a 5 km run, so he's genuinely happy. After a bit, he plops down in the garden, stuck on one question: what does he really want to eat? Ever since he started training, hunger's been roaring in his stomach the whole time between sessions. Right before he takes a bite, he clasps his hands and blurts out "Dakamasa." Lydia strides up to him and demands, "What does that mean?" Then, once the meal's over, Isaac blurts out another word, "Gacha Suzama." Lydia asks what he said before and after the meal, and Isaac explains it's basically a heartfelt thank you for the food. She asks again, "What's this gratitude for?" They bow to the king, thank him for the food, then turn and thank nature, and the people too. Normally it's the king first, but today they're expanding the thanks to everyone and everything that made the meal possible. She tells him Isaac thinks in a weirdly unique way, like it's more than just a quirk. Isaac shrugs and says everyone at home is used to it, but it's really a habit he picked up long ago. Lydia leans in and agrees, it's basically true and it's a great idea. Isaac just smiles. Lydia leans in and asks, "Why are you grinning like that?" She's just loving how he talks and how closely she listens. Then he suddenly asks if she came like this on purpose or if something happened. Lydia tells him his mom is calling him to T3, so he better get everything ready right now. Then she bolts, sprinting out of there, and Isaac can't stop wondering, does this feel like a reprimand coming, or is something worse about to hit? Isaac shows up at Lydia's place and they sink into the table with steaming tea in hand. Meanwhile, Lydia's mom cradles little Flora and beams like everything's normal, while Isaac just stands there, totally baffled by what's happening. This tea party should have felt way more relaxed, but he's stumbling through it, feeling painfully awkward, while Melody's probably a little embarrassed too. Isaac shoots me a huge thank you for the invite, buzzing with excitement to finally taste that legendary black tea with fruit infusion for the very first time. Lydia's mother grins and says, "I'm glad he liked it. Tell him not to hesitate to ask for another cup, and I really hope to see him here again." She couldn't just ignore them for long. She wanted to do more than deliver his message. She wanted to be his friend too, and it felt brutal that only he knew. Isaac swears he'll happily come visit. Mom is over the moon. She tells everyone that because of him, Dea finally started wearing dresses in colors that fit her perfectly. Now he realized everything lined up. The colors matched, Eddie stepped out in a dress of forget-me-nots, and the Duchess stunned in purple. I still remember the first time he met Milady. She wore bright red, and Mom always says Daya was stubborn, but somehow it was him who pulled her in and got her to fall. Your screams are saying one thing loud and clear. Nobody ever managed to seduce her. Isaac calls Mom Di Mrs. Octavia, but Di snaps back that it's a mouthful and tells him to just call her V. Then Isaac admits he can't stand long names anyway, so abbreviations are way easier. But then he spots it, Melody's giving him a cold, unfriendly stare, like she can't stand the fact that some commoner like him just talked to her mother like they were close. Octavia snaps, if I'm jealous, then why not call me your goddess? But when she insists she's not jealous, my mother laughs and says, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch you in the next video. So let her get called that, like a playful mother cat poking an angry kitten, though Melita won't stand for it. It looks like he'll have to stick to the Duchess instead, because he absolutely doesn't want to set Melita off. He tells his mom, I'm gonna call you Okuzen. Lydia is yelling at him to stop calling her mom that weird nickname, and then Mom just laughs, like she's totally into it. Melody's cheeks flared red again. Isaac leans in and demands she hand him a cup. She tells him he already has his own cup, and Isaac won't back down. He pushes for an answer, asking if it's really that hard for her. She pours it into the cup, he snatches it up and thanks her, then just holds it in his hands for a few minutes. Before she hands it back to Dea, she takes a quick sip and realizes the tea has gone cold. She blurts out, how did you do it? Because the tea is still scorching hot. Isaac explains he just shut the heat down with magic, then turns to Dee and asks if she likes cold tea and if it actually refreshes her. She presses him again, how in the world did he cast magic without a single sound, especially that ice, and then she asks if he's got an affinity for 2 elements. Isaac shoots it down, saying he can pull from a few other elements instead of only the main one. After water, the mana swings over to wind. Via blurts that she's never seen anyone cast magic that's totally off element, and Daya can't stop asking why it got so eerily quiet and how he pulled off the spell without even naming it. Isaac told them he didn't do anything fancy, he just begged the spirits for help. Daya fires back, asking how this helps if he's not just summoning them with his power. Then Isaac grimly admits he's too weak to call them in and he can't even see them. Lydia says the aristocrats earn their rank by how much mana they dump into summoning and wielding spirits, so the thought that spirits can just swoop in and help is totally impossible. Isaac shrugs and says he doesn't know, but deep down, he's convinced this aristocracy is rotting from the inside. He straight up asks if he's weird, then Lydia snaps back, no, that's not the word. Isaac figures Lydia's doing just fine, and the same goes for Okuzen, especially since Mom and Dad never said a word about it, so it never even hits him as weird. Lydia can't help it, she leans in and demands how he somehow convinced the spirits to actually lend a hand. Isaac shrugs and says, we've been dealing with this for so long, it's nothing to us. Isaac can't make it click for them, he's firm that respect comes first because the spirits actually respond when they're treated right. Lydia still isn't convinced, and Isaac shuts that down by saying, yeah, respect matters, but the offerings have to keep coming too. Lydia asks how she's doing, and Isaac snaps a quick look at her. Back when he was tiny, his mother taught him everything about perfumes. He didn't even notice them at first until he tried to find out whether spirits gobble sweets and learned they absolutely do. 3 cookies sit on the plate. Isaac shuts his eyes, folds his hands, and prays. When he cracks them open, he finds the cookies already nibbled. Then Lydia and Via go wide-eyed with shock. He asks if they've ever seen spirits, then laughs and admits it's so hilarious that he and everyone else ended up making a sweet-sharing ritual out of it. Lydia blurts that it's delicious, and Isaac goads her to take a bite herself. All she has to do is make herself believe she's giving them something, and once they think it's a gift, they'll finally understand. Lydia Grish shuts her eyes, clasps her hands tight, bows low, then snaps her eyes open, only to spot Please the Little. Her spirit gobbled up her cookies, Lydia froze in shock, and Mom burst into laughter. She warns that if the perfume gets too heavy, it'll feel creepy, so don't go overboard. They wrap up their tea and Mom practically beams, saying how thrilled she is that Isaac is here. Isaac asks to hold little Flora, and Mama Grist tells him she's been clutching her since tea time began, so long her arms don't even feel like hers anymore. She can't stop thinking about Isaac and the stunning Flora. Lydia blurts that she wants to be held too, and Isaac tells her to wait until Flora can hold her own head up, Lydia snaps back, calling it unfair, like he's forgotten he has no brother or sister to understand what this is like. He swears he's the only one in his family, while other homes usually have both parents working, so the kids get dumped on him and the neighbors keep begging him to babysit. Laughs promises, "I'll be the perfect son-in-law." Isaac doesn't get a word of what she's saying and Via bursts into laughter, telling him to ignore her and focus on himself. Then he thanks you. He spots an empty plate, cookies sitting behind it, and just like that, his little sister Melody is in his arms. He realizes he's trapped, and Dia studies him with a sharp, curious stare. Lydia asks what she can do for him, and he grins and demands cookies. Lydia's cheeks ignite with a blush, and Isaac instantly clocks it. He's so ravenous that his mouth just spewed something way too real. Damn it, he rushes in with an apology, swearing it all happened because of Flora. Lily thrusts a cookie into his hands, he opens his mouth, and she slides it right between his lips. He chomps it, devours it, then shoots Melody a grateful thanks. She slides him another one, and Isaac immediately blurts, "Wait, are you okay?" Lydia nends, he gives her a grateful nod, then chomps the cookie right away. He thinks next time I'm bringing him something to thank him, and then he bursts outside. The kids spot him on the street, buzz with questions, and ask if someone sent him on an errand. Then they beg him to play, but he just shrugs and says he's on a break, and one girl blurts out, "So, what were you doing a second ago?" Isaac says he's been grinding in strength training and that he's cleared Heinz's test. Then someone grins and calls him bony and frail. Isaac shrugs and admits he's only just getting started, and when a girl asks why he suddenly decided to train, he just can't figure out what everyone's so worried about. The girl blurts out that she can smell another girl and it's a working-class Meliska. Maria, the only girl, is just 4 years old, so there's no way she should be talking like that. They burst into laughter and swear it's spot on. Yeah, Isaac the heart-eater, that's the truth. And he immediately snaps back, so what's the point of all this? He grabs the guys and asks, "You want to protect mothers and sisters too?" Then tells them flat out, there's nothing wrong with getting stronger for a woman. Johan, one of the hardscrabble guys, declares he'll get stronger, so his mom can finally have more than struggle. And Paul says he's gonna take matters into his own hands and deal with his sister's boyfriend. Johan tells Isaac to start playing at night if he wants to grow stronger, but Isaac snaps, "I can't." Then his mom takes the hit for his mess and Maria feels bad until she decides to fake it like she was truly tricked just this once. Isaac turns to her and demands, "What are you talking about?" He rushes back home, grabs his mom's attention and asks, "What else did you tell me to buy?" Then adds, "And can I take more flour and eggs?" Mom grabs me and asks why Isaac is suddenly acting like he wants to bake cookies and take them. Their modesty caught everyone off guard, so they served him tea with sweets, and now he's determined to thank them, sing Melita's praises, and show how grateful he is, while my mother just stares in shock that he's even talking about the Duke's daughter. She asks what kind of girl she is, and Isaac leans in and tells her the truth. Her moods swing nonstop, yet she's still sweet as candy and charming to the core. Mom clocks it instantly, he's his father's spitting image, and she blurts out, "So, do you know why I married him?" He barely talks, but he's got this steady, loving warmth, drops sweet words, and keeps showing it by spoiling her with gifts. And just like that, her heart locked onto him, and love crushed through her like lightning. So that's why he tells Isaac, "Be careful." Then he pushes for answers. Why again? Mom steps in and says, "Don't say anything that could get twisted or misunderstood." Isaac swears he always says what's on his mind, and my mom thinks that's exactly the problem. She sends him to the store and lets him grab a few eggs, slapped with flour first. He turned on his heel and vanished. He'd made up his mind. Save the eggs for later, then he spots the potatoes and catches people talking about something. They're staring at this insane glow, like something supernatural is lighting up the night. People can't even tell what's glowing there, but Isaac pushes forward anyway, and then he spots a reflection of something moving back at him. There's a boy standing there with light hair, rare even among common folks, so yeah, he's got to be an aristocrat. Isaac leans in and asks the boy, "Are you lost?" But the kid just stays silent. Isaac presses again, "Are you lost?" He presses him again, "Did you really get lost?" But the other guy goes silent, then finally snaps back that he ditched on purpose earlier. He has no idea how to get back, so panic screams that he's lost. Then the whole world flickers and sparkles. Isaac snaps that something's seriously wrong, and that blinding light hits so hard he can't even stare, until the boy quickly blurts out an apology. Isaac yanks off his cap, swings it onto his head, and tells everyone he has nothing to apologize for. He just doesn't like how weird that is, and once the cap's on, he's sure he'll feel way better. Isaac grabs the boy's hand and yanks him along, calling, "Come on." The boy blurts, "Where are you taking me?" Isaac answers. We'll find someone on the main street who knows you. I was supposed to meet someone and I think they're out there. He tells you someone warned him. If anything goes down, you run straight to the square with fountain. Isaac points him toward it, then charges ahead, yanking the boy along like, come on. The kid presses him again, demanding, how do you know I'm a noble? Isaac just smirks and says it's right there in the clothes. Then the kid shoots back that he only bought the plainest thing, no flash, no fancy decorations. Isaac tells him to slap on a wig since regular folks almost never have light hair, and he promises that next time he'll be way more careful. Isaac tells him, next time I borrow your clothes, just hand them over, don't beat around the bush, and the guy goes, is that really true? I can't deal with regular people. Isaac blurts, my name's Isaac. His dad, boom gardener Danny, plants everything, and Isaac's sure he can track him down by acting like he's got an order. The boy remembers one crucial detail too, he's met the Duke's gardener. He leans in and tells Isaac, you're super smart, and Isaac snaps back, don't look at me, I'm too blinding. The boy says this is his first time meeting someone like that and he's flooded with brand new impressions. While Isaac snaps that he should be angry, but admits he's just as odd, way too kind, and Millie would have already chewed him out. The boy tells him his dad drilled one lesson into him. See the world from every angle and stay hungry for anything new. He came here today, hungry to witness the lives of regular people for himself. He still remembers Lydia's words. She swore she might have a place in the higher aristocracy, but because of her age, she can't answer the people who hate and despise her. He snaps at the boy, telling him point blank that only adults surround him, so no kid, especially a noble's child, is allowed to act like a kid. The boy asks again how Isaac even knows, and Isaac fires back, saying he sounds way too grown up, like he needs more friends, more playtime, and the boy just sits there, chewing on the word friends. He grips Isaac's hand, leans in, and asks, will you be my friend? Isaac grins like the answer's already there. He's not just blinded, something else completely repulses him. He can't stand what he sees, yet he still thinks like an adult and decides it's something he has to handle. He bursts into laughter and basically says, I never, ever thought my looks would get me pushed away that viciously. Isaac realizes just how strange all this is, and the boy laughs again, saying nobody talks about it, then stops short and remembers he never introduced himself. He takes off his hat and says, I'm Leo. So Isaac swears he's way too smart, and that cocky attitude starts to grind his nerves. Link up with him, then they sprint down the street and boom, right in front of them, the hydrangeas burst into bloom. But something's seriously wrong with them. Hydrangeas are almost non-existent here, and when I spot them for the first time, my jaw drops, because in this country their color shifts with nearby magic. Orange when the earth element's close, blue when water magic is in the air. The summer shop owner leaned in and said the ministry ordered him to study how hydrangeas change color, so they could boost their own diversity. Leo blurts that he finally figured out what makes them so rare, but what element turns them white. Isaac doesn't even get a breath to finish. The door swings open, the girl peeks out, and she fires back, so what do you need from my family? He clocks Leo's shocked face when he spots the girl, and he can't figure out why the guy is staring like he just saw a ghost. She's sweet as can be, but yeah, looks like Leo's still trapped in the same circus of weirdos. Isaac blurts out an apology, saying he's just the gardener's apprentice and that those flowers are ridiculously rare. Then the girl presses him again, demanding to know why they're rare at all. Isaac leans in and asks if they get white hydrangeas every single year and who's actually taking care of them. The girl smiles and says, that's me. Isaac feels like he's bombarded her with questions, and like he's nothing but some terrified nobody in front of a tiny, untouchable animal. He gently strokes the girl's head, then blurts out that he's seeing white hydrangeas for the first time, so of course he had to find out how they're grown here, because they're absolutely breathtaking. The girl shakes with pure terror, then blurts out, I only watered them, that's all. Isaac is hit with total shock, because she turns out to be way more incredible than he ever expected. Leo, what's going on with him? Isaac is straight up smacking the back of his head and yelling, what's wrong with you? He goes completely silent and begs everyone to look the other way. Isaac thanks the girl for those beautiful flowers, shoos Leo to go, and she bows like it's no big deal. You're always welcome here, then waves them off with a bright smile. Isaac figures it's worth pressing her about her element, but Leo slams the door and shuts him down. That girl isn't just special, she's packing serious magical power. She doesn't even look at what's happening on the ground, she's reacting to her own magic, straight up proving it's way stronger than it should be for a commoner, and that's exactly why Isaac leans in and asks what element she's got. Leo blurts that he's never seen anything like this, either it's pure light or something even stranger. A man burst around the corner and Leo instantly clocked Matthews, panting hard, shouting that he'd finally found them and that he knew exactly where they were. He fires a question at Leo, who's riding with you, and Leo answers, "It's my companion," to seek Isaac's permission to introduce him. That's his brother. Isaac swears they look nothing alike, and Matthew shoots back that because of him he finally found his younger brother, made him jump out of his skin. Isaac still refuses to believe they could possibly be related. Matthew tells Isaac to thank him, but Isaac snaps, "No way," and Matthew just assumes it's a servant or a guard in on the whole thing. He says he's got to wrap up his shopping, then bolts out the door, yanks the cap off Leo's head, swipes it onto his own and calls it his, then dashes away with a quick goodbye to Leo. Isaac just waves him off, grinning, and vows he'll see him again. He has no clue whether Lev will stick around and keep talking to him, because the guy's so weird, nobody in their right mind ever really gets close. Anyway, he had to grab potatoes and eggs, and the moment he got home, he baked her cookies. Lydia barges into the kitchen, yet the cook snaps, refusing her at every turn. She demands to know why Isaac gets a pass, and the cook snaps back that there's a world of difference between her and that boy. If he takes a little pain, it's whatever. But if she's the one hurting, terror hits him so hard he's convinced his heart will flat out give out. Lydia walks through the chaos and says, "I get it," like she understands everything she's facing. She slips out, shuts the door tight behind her, and the cook can't ignore it. Since that schoolboy showed up, the mistress really has changed. Pain claws at Lydia's chest. If she can't bake those cookies, she can't possibly pay back the debt she owes him. In the evening, they finally meet. He shoves a bag into her hands and tells Melita to take it. Then she blurts what's inside. He smiles and reminds her of the days she used to sneak him cookies with tea, because now he's prepared homemade cookies as a proper thank you. They ended up huge, probably a pain to chew, but he couldn't resist wondering what they actually tasted like. She bites into the cookie, lights up, and declares it's delicious, nothing like the ones from those pastry shops, and she's honestly shocked he can pull off food that tasty. Then he leans in and asks if she really liked it. She stays quiet, plodding in silence, deciding she'll repay him no matter what it costs her. She's burning with curiosity, desperate to figure out what Isaac actually likes. She only knows one thing: he's got a heart that lights up every time he gets to work in the garden. He leans into every meal like it matters most, soaking up his father's opinion, and a real smile lights up his face. He's absolutely sick of anything shiny, and that's the one thing she still has no clue about. "Isaac, don't you dare tell me anything about yourself." He shuts his mouth tight until she finally asks, and then he has to respond. So yeah, it's on him that she knows nothing about him, and she decides to bulldoze through every obstacle anyway. She's got something she needs from him, so she slips into his garden. Then he has to march up to his father and ask for permission to go. With her in tow, he snatches her along and hauls her forward. Dia blurts out where they're headed, and he just grins and tells her, "Keep moving, you'll see everything soon." He grips her hand even harder, and Dee realizes his palm runs warmer and somehow feels bigger than hers. They're right on the edge of it, just a tiny stretch left. They push toward the thicket and Isaac snaps, "Come with me," urging her not to fall behind, but she can't even picture how she'll survive all this waiting. She kept scaling the path, grumbling that as a noble girl she never should be here, while Isaac told her there's just a bit left, and that she was basically there. A blinding light spilled through the garden and she shut her eyes tight. Then he revealed a breathtaking fountain and claimed it was his. Melody stared, unsure whether this hidden corner had always been here. Isaac tells him that his grandfather and father used to train here back when they were students, and now his dad has finally given him the green light to train too. A secret garden where generations of gardeners kept learning their craft even through the bombings. Now he's determined to try it all, so he grabs seeds with the money he's been saving. Lydia presses him again, "Is it really okay you told me all this? And I'm thinking this was supposed to stay secret, right?" Then she snaps back, asking won't fix anything. Finally, she turns the tables and demands they turn this place into the kind of garden she loves. Isaac leans in and orders Melody to keep it a total secret. He's already taken enough from her, and he can't stop thanking her. Then he promises that this will turn out to be a truly wonderful place. Isaac tells everyone this is the best birthday gift his father has ever given him. Lydia leans in and asks when his birthday is, and he tells her May. Daya stares for a second and realizes it was already a month ago, then she fires back with, "So what do you want as a gift?" Isaac says she gave him so much, like a gift wrapped in kindness. The handwritten letter she poured into those words lit up his heart, because it's his most precious treasure. And every time she smiled, joy hit him like a shot of lightning. Lydia grins at him and calls out, "Happy birthday," and that same bright smile is still stuck on her face. He leans in and says, "Yes, sir." Lydia and Isaac huddle over a book, eyes locked in as they devour every word. Lydia snaps that he reads like it's empty, no emotion, no soul, and even Katrina reads better than he does. Then he tells her, "Fine, you read it yourself." But Daya shuts that down, saying if he doesn't read it his way, he won't learn a thing. She holds up a book and tells them, "This is the next one we're reading." Nick snaps that he expects them to seriously keep reading, then groans that he's exhausted, flips through the book, and insists every single one of its stories is about princes. Lydia swears it's because they're smashing the curse and wiping out evil spirits, and honestly, it feels ridiculously romantic. Then Isaac tilts his head and goes, "Okay, but why does everyone's hair look like it's glowing?" She leans in and tells them, "This is the mark of kings." Isaac recalls that the Duke's hair glimmered just the same, like it was lit from within. Lydia tells them Grandma Papa used to be a queen, so she carries herself like royalty, and that's exactly why the Duke looks so dazzling. And her hair is so much more stunning than that shine, and it doesn't even sting her eyes. Isaac nods and yeah, he agrees to read this right now. This time, he's going to try and pour real emotion into it, except Lydia erupts in anger and orders him to read his whole life, all the way until the end of the century, in that painfully monotonous voice. Katrina bursts into giggles and leans in, asking if it was all just a curse. She tells Lydia Mr. Sactavia is calling you, and Lydia rushes into her mom's room, demanding, "What did you want to talk about?" Octavia leans in and tells her daughter, "I got an invitation." Isaac yanks weeds from the ground while the sun blazes overhead, and there's no escaping the heat, none of it, not even a little. The finish line is right there, and I'm praying she gets an assistant. That massive estate wasn't split up by inheritance, which is why it's so gigantic. In the capital, they even joke that it's a real nightmare for gardeners. And since the people who sign up to work aren't watched too closely, he's basically the only apprentice. He thinks he might sing it to shake off the blues, because back when he was younger, his sister used to drag him into karaoke and make him sing right alongside her. Lily closes the distance and tells him straight up, turns out the spirits love the songs. Isaac asks if she sees them. He doesn't, but he swears he feels their presence, and one of them is messing with him from behind his back. Lydia confirms it. She quizzes him about what he was just singing, war song or opera, and Isaac grins and says it's from an anime. But when Lydia presses him for the name, he admits his sister taught it to him, so he's not totally sure it's the kind of chant people belt out in the middle of battle. Lydia presses him again if he isn't the only one in the family. Which sister are they talking about? Isaac freezes in shock. He blurted it out without even thinking, claiming she's from a past life, which makes Isaac treat her like a sister. Lydia clocks it and realizes he's got someone like that, and Isaac can't tell whether she's genuinely offended. He leans in and grills her what happened and what she's dying to tell him. Then she pulls an envelope out of her bag. That she got an invitation. Mom handed it to me today. This invitation whisks you straight to a dazzling ball celebrating the Crown Prince's birthday. Isaac shot her a startled look and told her she'd be fine, and then, at last, she finally caught a glimpse of the prince in his usual place, but Tasa cut in fast. Now was absolutely not the moment for this. This is her very first public moment, a debut at the heir to the throne's ball, and the wild part is she can't even dance worth a damn. Isaac tells me everything's going to be okay, and she fires back, "How could it be?" He just smiles and says she's wonderful, and that it'll all work out because she's the Duke's dearest daughter. Then they press Lydia again, asking if it's truly the case and whether her parents will be anything but disappointed. Isaac tells Lydia they're going to be proud of her, and Lydia presses again, making sure she gets one clear promise that she'll be totally okay. He tells Lydia not to worry and to just be herself, and she shoots back, "Do you really mean that?" He tells them don't panic, it's nothing. But Daya cuts in, dead serious, "Yeah, it's not a compliment. I've never seen Melody like this, her nerves are through the roof." Isaac tells her to have fun there, and Melody grabs his hand like, "Come with me." She's probably freaking out, and Isaac reminds me the Duke is showing up, Then Melody tells me it's safer if he stays right there with her. Isaac outright refuses he won't go because he's just a commoner, and she gets that instantly. And he presses her to agree, promise him he'll look like a scarecrow, but at least dressed in decent clothes. She giggles, apologizing like she just asked the impossible, and he waves it off, telling her not to take it to heart, because he honestly can't figure out why she's so wrecked about everything. She claims that from her role, she'll finally get to dance with the heir to the throne. But when her dance teacher still hasn't been impressed by a single one of her wins, dread starts creeping in because what if she ends up stumbling as the partner? There's only 1 month left till the ball. Isaac begs her to breathe easy, swears they'll plan it together, but she refuses to come back. She didn't want her parents to sniff out the truth that she'd been hiding her failures from them, and Isaac swore the class would stay secret. He grinned and said he knew the perfect spot, that they'd pull it off, and Lydia was stunned when she realized they'd secretly rehearsed the dances too. Then Isaac hauled her to a place and asked me, "I can't believe what's with him. This place is an abandoned summer pavilion." And then I hear the name, Lydia Grizz. They sneak in here to rehearse dances in secret, right beside a rundown summer pavilion that sits next to a separate building nobody touches because it's out of season. Even so, Isaac grins and says they'll do great. She asks if he's trying to cheer her up, and then right there, she lets him become her partner. Isaac finally admits he can't dance, and Lydia swoops in, promising to teach him the basics. She insists the best partner should be her height. Isaac protests it isn't his idea, but when it's for Melody's sake, he caves and agrees. Hines puts them through a tough combat drill, then calls it for the day and says they've done enough. Today, Isaac swears he doesn't even sweat anymore, because they ripped out his sweat glands along with his emotions, while Hines clocks the change instantly and notices Isaac's posture has suddenly gotten way better. He asks what else Isaac is up to, but Isaac freezes, then finally admits he's been warming up before the strength training even starts. Hines is stunned, then blurts, "Wait, keep going the same way." Millie now spends those chat breaks inside class, and to keep her clothes clean, he slips on an apron. While everyone else drifts, he's grinding through the basics of the waltz step by step, and that's exactly why his posture is suddenly standing taller. A day before the big deadline, he corners Melody and asks if his help actually made things better. She tells him, "Yeah, I always do it myself," and then adds, "But with you, you started moving with me and suddenly I dance way better." Isaac sits back fully satisfied. Meanwhile, Daya is all nerves, blurting out that the class helped a ton, and his gratitude for her spills out right there. Isaac tells her, "I've already got a reward ready for you." For luck, he grabs a gift for her, because he's betting everything on this moment. He can't go with her, so he offers to take the talisman for her. Then he snips a tiny rose in the greenhouse and crafts it into a charm, all while the ribbon's clearly cheap, meaning if she hates it, she can just toss it aside. Lydia swears she'll never toss it out, because it's just too wonderful to part with. She swears she'll pull out every last stop tomorrow. Isaac tells Lydia not to stress, she'll see the heir to the throne with her own eyes soon. Lydia promises everything will be okay, swearing that if anything goes wrong, she'll think of him and steady herself the moment he's introduced. Isaac then jokes that she's being a little condescending, and Lydia fires back that nope, that's not an insult, it's a compliment. He's got no clue about these dances, shamans, balls, and all the nonsense nobles worship, but he's praying that the feelings he poured into the talisman will be enough to keep her standing. And he can't stop hoping, right from the heart, that Lydia will steal the night and dance the most enchanting dance with the prince at this ball. My dad is finally apologizing to Daya, and usually they'd head straight for tea. But it went silent the moment Flora was born. Daya hurried to her father and told him, "Don't you dare apologize." Then she grinned like she couldn't believe her luck, thrilled to finally have a little sister, and they headed straight for the king. The carriage grinds to a halt and the duke shoots out his hand, beckoning his daughter to take it and declaring, "My princess." Dio snaps that it's not proper to say that in front of his royal highness, and her father nods along, suggesting they call her an angel instead, while chatter buzzes behind them. People whisper that this is Duke Ernest, the man at the top, ruling 3 ministries, and yeah, he's even more handsome than the rumors promised. If anyone asks who this girl is, she's basically a living doll, sweet, cute, and totally irresistible. They stride into the palace, and you can hear the murmurs of voices creeping in from behind. He clocks it. Daya isn't nearly as nervous as he expected. Then she blurts out that she's absolutely terrified of messing up in front of the royal family. The moment he stands beside her, her fury melts away. Then my dad is beaming with pride. The girl squeezes his hand, and her father promises they'll leave the moment she's ready. Yet he's already insisting they should go right now, and Daya spots the problem instantly. They haven't even greeted the prince. Her father lets out a heavy sigh and tells her, straight up, he doesn't want her to meet him, so Daya shoots back, why? The Duke claims he's only caught glimpses of him, but from the way people talk, it's crystal clear. This guy's got an impeccable reputation. Even with his age, he's already blazing with wisdom, always thinking hard about people, weighing every soul with serious care, and if this keeps going, they swear he'll grow into the wisest king on the throne. Daya tells everyone he's heard his hair and eyes glow bright, but trust him, his inner world is just as breathtaking. The Duke gives a hard yes, but he still refuses to step foot in that place. He spots a ribbon with a rose on her hand and blurts, wait, you didn't have that before. Dee leans in and explains, it's her lucky charm. The Duke flashes a smile and calls her sweet, and Isaac can't help but think that Dee fits her perfectly, then she melts and blushes. This is magic at its wildest, water magic that resurrects a dried flower's life back into bloom, and it takes real skill and backbreaking patience to pull off. My dad swears it's an insane trick and tells me to ask how he did it, so Daya blurts out why, and the Duke just shakes his head, calling him straight up tactless. She grins and admits she's got a truly wonderful friend. They storm into the hall and someone yells for the Duke, only to shout that Zenvarik is here too. The herald steps up and asks if he came with his daughter. He leans in and tells Daya, Zinvarik von August, vice commander of the Royal Order of Chivalry. Then he straightens up, flashing a grin like it's an honor just to be introduced to a lady like her. Daya blurts that her name is Lydia von Ernest and claims she overheard her father talking about his departure, and Zinberg just throws his head back laughing, saying it all went down while they were under his care. DH leans in and trades thoughts with his daughter, then he proudly introduces his daughter, Tordels, to them, and the girl straight up declares she's the eldest daughter of Marquis Augustus Tordels, saying it's a total honor to finally meet the lady of the Ernest Duchy. The Duke flashes a smile, tells her she looks like a tiny rabbit, and gently tells her to stop freaking out. Zenvarik demanded the Duke stay away from his daughter, because if she ever saw him, it would be trouble. The only woman he claimed he'd tempt was his own wife. She walks up to Mr. Deli and tells him, straight from the heart, that it's her honor to finally speak with the young lady for the very first time. She's her equal and it doesn't bother her, still, she wants to be friends. Then Tortley grabs her hand and snaps that she doesn't deserve the honor of being near her. Zinvarik and Gerald sweep the room with their eyes, and it looks like the crowd is split down the middle, boys and girls in perfect balance. If they were adults, the place would look grim and rundown. Harold swears he didn't haul Via along because Flora is way too small to manage, and Zenvarik backs it up, he's here because Lisa demanded to meet His Majesty. The welcome music blasts and everyone instantly shuts up about idols before dropping into a deep, respectful bow. Gertrude was the first princess, Germain followed as the second, and Klaus, the third, was the prince. King Trajot steps into the hall and calls out, demanding the ladies and gentlemen raise their hands. He thanks them for showing up for his son's birthday ball, tells them to soak up the celebration, and then admits he's already pulled in way too much attention today. So without wasting a second, he introduces them to the hero of this whole event. The boy steps forward and pure light bursts outward in every direction. The guests blast into applause the second he steps in. Roy Leonard steps up, says, "My name is Roy," and then grins and thanks everyone for showing up today on this brutal hot day to celebrate his birthday. Even if he's still young and not fully grown, he's determined. He wants to help his father, serve the people, and throw his powers behind his country for good, grateful for the chance to meet those young comrades who will carry the nation's future on their shoulders. And then he insists they sit down and plan the country's future together. Everyone's clapping and Zenvarik clocks the glow in the room. He's the kind of handsome people can't ignore. Harold notices too, but only because he's the only one who's thinking, yeah, he's got that. Harold CSDO stares at the prince, starry-eyed and terrified she'll stop calling him the best, and Zenvarik snaps in that he should be grateful she said it at all. The prince climbs down into the pit, strides up to the Duke and blurts out, "So let me get this straight, are you really the Duke?" He nods and says it's a huge honor just to know the prince. Then they all light up as they happily welcome him in. He blurts that he's heard all about his own wins and today he's dressed to impress, so the herald soaks in it, totally flattered, especially when it comes straight from their legend. Tons of ships flood the horizon and everybody's staring, then the prince steps into view. He spots a girl standing beside him and shoots, "Who are you?" and the Duke drops the bomb, "That's my daughter Lydia." She beams, saying she's thrilled to meet you, Lydia von Ernest, and then she sweetly wishes the prince a happy birthday while the prince leans in and studies her closely. Then he grabs her hand and asks her to dance, and Lydia beams, saying it's her honor. They swing into the music and dance together. The prince clocks her incredible dancing and realizes he never should have doubted his choice. She's perfect as his first partner. She's stunned this is his first dance, muttering that he looks way too experienced. He grins and admits he's been taking private lessons, and she fires back that she did the exact same thing. Young nobles don't get many chances to speak up, so tonight he begged his father to finally let him talk. Yeah, it looks like someone's using it, and honestly, you should have expected that. She leans in and listens, but he tells her the adults can't hear a thing, so she should talk without fear, call him by his name, and let it all out. She smiles and says she finally understands him. And he calls him Roy. Prince lights up at that, convinced Daya really was the right pick, and then Daya fires back, so why her? He claims it's because she talked to him a whole different way. Then he admits he connected with plenty of people, but every single one either got way too hyped or got so swallowed up in the chat that they didn't really pay attention to him. Right when he was about to throw in the towel, he ran into her, and her kindness lit a spark in him, so he never lost hope. Daya throws him a thank you, and then bam, those eyes come flooding back in her mind. Isaac leaned in and told her, listen, having a friend you can talk to matters more than you think. Daya blurts out that she's honestly thrilled she finally gets to talk to him. They end the dance, and the whole crowd erupts into loud, wild applause. After the game, they pile into the car and race back home. Daya blurts out to her father, was I rude? And he calmly tells her, no, you were a beautiful woman. Turns out the crown prince was even kinder than everyone claims, and with her talisman in hand, she stayed totally calm before Roy all through the dance. Her father leans in and asks, would you be happy to marry the crown prince? She won't even buy into it. She calls it a fairy tale and swears if it's real, it's the dream she's been waiting her whole life to see come true. Her father tells her, time to hear the truths. And yep, today's birthday girl was meant to pick her future bridegroom. And Daya's not just dreaming anymore, she's climbing into the ranks of a real contender, close enough to snatch her shot at becoming a princess. Daya is totally thrown off. People are saying she could be the prince's bride. She blurts that today was only meant to be a simple birthday celebration, and my father backs her up. Of course, that was the whole point. The prince might have figured it out, or maybe he didn't, but the king still threw a banquet anyway, fully expecting it to work. Remember when the prince said it felt like everyone was using him? He knew the truth, yet he still showed up anyway. The duke says we're bringing this up right now, and he promises, if she wants it, she can count on him to back her all the way. At night, she finally falls asleep, and outside, the birds burst into song. So Daya still can't drift off to sleep again. Ever since she became a bride, everything around her feels unreal, like she's trapped inside a dream. Her father told her to come straight to him the moment she makes up her mind, because if she decides she doesn't want to, he'll flat out say no. But her father can't defy the king's command, and right then, someone starts pounding on her door. Katrina barges in, greets her with a bright good morning, then drops the bombshell. Daya is wiped out. She tells him Isaac won't show up today, then shoots him a question, should she call it a break right after. Daya is fuming because Isaac refuses to show up today. But she didn't want to see him, no way, no matter how he showed up. The painting feels like it's daring her to explain why, and Melody's stuck there with nothing to say. She goes straight to him alone and finds Isaac in the garden, and he grills her right away, how the party went, whether they danced well. She tells him her father even praised her and that she walked out with a real new friend. Isaac can't help praising her, telling her she's doing amazing. Then he leans in and asks, so, have you seen the wild prince yet? Dee freezes, then blurts that he's just incredible, like he was ripped straight out of a picture book, and she scrambles to find the words to say to me. Isaac, then she second guesses herself and stays silent. At night, she slips onto the balcony and spirals over why she never told Isaac she'd been picked as a bride, because up until today, she'd confessed everything to him. And now, Daya can't make sense of what's happening to her. She's thrilled they picked her, but she can't figure out why she never told Isaac. And since she stayed silent, now she has no clue what to say to him. Katerina shot him a nervous question. Is it really okay that I never told you? She's convinced Daya doesn't owe anyone her whole life, so she decides on her own who gets access to her deepest secrets. You'll feel that guilt gnawing at you for keeping this buried as a secret. Even if you're clueless, it's not some hidden secret. She leans in and asks Lydia if she wants to be the one to tell Isaac about it. She's not sure at all. Katrina grabs her hand, blurts out an apology, and urges her to follow her gut and do whatever she thinks is right. It fits her perfectly, and from this day on, she's always got her back. Even so, she's probably got zero chance of helping with anything. Daya thanks her and tells her she feels way better now, even if she can't bring herself to talk about it. One day, she's going to finally spill everything to him, no doubt about it. Isaac bumps into Leo on the street again and drops a rushed apology for keeping him waiting for so long. Isaac snaps, calls him an idiot, and demands, "What's that letter about?" Then shoots back, "So you don't think it matters, huh? Tell him to send this." Isaac finally admits he couldn't read it, then snaps that Leo shouldn't pretend a commoner can do more than they can, and yeah, he didn't even think about it back then, which makes him a total fool. He could have at least penned the letter more clearly. It was basically unreadable. But if Leo just found out how ordinary people lived, that alone would be enough. Leo swears he'll do everything in his power. It clocks the fact that he still shines even with that plain smile, and it hates it, because yeah, he's wearing a wig and has security on him. Then Leo bursts out laughing. Come on, now he looks way more like Matthew's brother. Isaac realizes this is way better than last time, but the clothes still don't fit, so he snaps, "Come with me," and then asks, "Where are we going?" And Isaac answers, "I'm going home." They head back home, and Mom lights up the moment she sees them, telling them they're not rolling in money, but pushing them to settle in like they truly belong. Mom swore he dragged home a friend from the nobility, and she instantly assumed that young lady would be the first noble guest to ever step into this place. Isaac snaps that the city streets are too deadly for a beautiful melody, and that they'll never be his friends. Then he calls Leo over, offers to lend him his clothes, and Leo follows without a second thought. They slip into the room, and Isaac yanks out his clothes, then hands them straight to Leo. "Slip into them, these are the commoner's clothes." Isaac says he's heading out, and if he needs a thing, he'll shout for it. He looms by the door, holding his breath as he waits for Leo to finish changing. Then Leo calls out. I spun toward him and told him straight up that he was incredibly kind. Leo admits the name he uses could be a total lie, drops his real name too, and even though they weren't friends, he stays amazingly polite. Then he still lets him in. Isaac insists that if he grills Modus about it, Modus can't be evil. Because if Isaac's identity were a mystery, Modus never would have let him tag along, and Isaac's convinced that real nobles always find a way to dig up who someone really is. He steps in to help because he's the one stirring up trouble. Leo bursts into laughter, loving every second of being called problematic. Isaac swears he's got a weird sense of humor, then quickly apologizes and tells her she's the real odd one, because yeah, this is seriously unlike anything. Leo storms out of the room, grinning, and tells them just how thrilled he is that they finally met. Isaac stared at him, then Leo blurted, "What's wrong?" Isaac just feels it's plain unfair. His clothes look amazing on him no matter what, and right then, someone starts apologizing. They spin around and spot Marius right there, a local kid, and Maria blurts. They look back. Leo grins and tells her name is Maria, then he just lights up and says, "What a beautiful name, I'm so happy to meet you." "Nice to meet you." Isaac points at the kid and goes, "That's Leo." Maria blinks in full confusion. Then he snaps that this isn't what Isaac believed. Leo fires back, saying he's the one who lost to him. Isaac asks Dio, "Do you want to play with the kids or just watch the street?" Dio pauses for a beat, then says it plain, playing beats standing around. Isaac nods and tells him to step outside, and the boys crowd in like, "Wait, who are you?" Since they've never seen him before, and the kid grins, "My name's Leo." He's thrilled to meet you, and the guys start trading names. Paul and Johan step forward to introduce themselves, then they quiz Isaac. "Are we right to think this is your friend?" Isaac shuts it down. "No, this isn't my friend." Leo burst laughs, and right then, they're seconds away from starting the game. Johan yells that he won't cut him any slack just because he's Isaac's friend. Then the guy grins, laughs, and thanks him. Johan dared him to a hide-and-seek duel, and Leo realized that's the whole point. He knows nothing about this place either, so he's here to figure it out with Johan. So you can roam the streets, hunt for shelter from the enemy, and juggle both at once, and Isaac himself even admits he takes the game way too seriously. They're hunting for a hiding spot, but it's just the two of them, and they're way too huge, so there's literally nowhere to tuck themselves away. Suddenly they spot a patrol of guards roaming the streets, and Isaac fires off, "Do you know them too?" While Leo shoots back, "Yeah, and if they catch sight of me, it's going to go badly." But there's no hiding now. Isaac whips his hand toward the other side, where he thinks he can finally get out of sight. They duck into the alley, and Isaac slams himself in front of Leo to keep them perfectly silent as they slip by, because the shadows here are crawling with shadow spirits. Isaac can even call them off and get you to hide, and they huddle down, then the guards stroll right past without ever noticing. People swear that standing guard over the holidays is pure torture. There's food everywhere, and somehow the drinks hit even harder. It's a royal celebration after all. One guard even admits he's on duty, then tells the others to shove their thoughts down and keep quiet. Isaac and Leo realize they've somehow slipped out, and Leo blurts out an apology. So he claims he can tap into shadow magic. Isaac quickly shuts that down by saying her true element is water, and the clash with other elements isn't even close to zero. If he's a nobleman, then he's got to be packed with power, like there's more he can pull off. Leo tells everyone, I'll go again next time. Side by side, they soak up a ton of new knowledge, and then Isaac leans in, firing off. So what are you even talking about? Right now, they're just messing around, and Leo won't stop rambling about studying, because in the end, that's what being a kid is all about. Leo nodded along. He didn't just agree, he proved it. He cowered in hiding, and then Johan burst into tears as he tore into him, even without knowing the reason. Turns out the prince is fully built for street life. Deli leans in and asks Catherine how much time's left before the next lesson. Catherine grins and says, I already won. In just 1 hour, Lydia is slipping out for a quick little walk. Catherine tried to tread carefully because right before she met Isaac, her nerves were on fire. The music had faded and the world finally felt calm, so he was out in the garden working, then blurted, Where's Lee? He's coming, Lydia's calling his name right now. Blake insists she made it on time, grabs her hand and tells her, Come on, I'll show you my garden. Lydia presses him again, what kind of garden is this? He tells her he's planted some seeds himself. She whips her gaze to the clover blossoms everywhere and demands, so you did all this by hand. He invites her to stroll through these blooms and she shoots back, are they really here? Because she's terrified of ruining the miracle he's busted his butt to build. Then he whips her into a dance, gripping her hands like it's the start of something unforgettable. They're dancing and Isaac quickly realizes the floor feels impossible under his feet. Lydia nods and agrees. She asks why he's doing it and he smirks because it's a secret. She's about to spill the truth, but she dodges it, telling herself she'll say it later. He promises he'll spill the story next time too, and they twirl and laugh right through the clover flowers. 2 days later, the prince finally pulled up at the Duke's house, and the Duke wasted no time thanking him for making the long trip. The prince blurts out an apology for barging in, admitting he just had to see that legendary garden. The Duke nods and promises he'll ask Lydia to keep him company. Then the prince shoves the book over, urging the Duke to seriously consider his offer. Finally, the Duke flips through the notes and demands confirmation that the signature truly belongs to their majesty. He says it's only a draft and the Duke swears he'll reply before he leaves. Then he turns to Lydia and asks, Can I count on you? And she just nods. She beckons the princes to the garden and there, right at the table, tea is already waiting. The prince blinks in shock. Flowers are blooming right here even in autumn. It's like this land refuses to follow the rules and it loves surprising more than the castle ever could. Lydia smiles, certain that when they tell their gardener what he said, he'll be thrilled. At last, it's just them, no one else around. Lydia leans in and says she wants to discuss that proposal they pitched to her father, but then she asks, should we go after him? Prince Roy breaks it down and confirms without a doubt that yes, this is exactly what's happening. Ernst is in charge of education across the whole country, so he showed up today. She already knows how the education system works, and honestly, that's where his selfish thoughts start spilling out. His father will get it the instant he hears it. That's why he went and talked to the Duke today. Lydia blurts out, would it be really bad if His Highness finds out? And the prince snaps, yes, it's bad, admitting he's gambling everything because his father will shut him down for sure. One day, he'll rise to become king, and finally take on that power and the crushing responsibility that comes with it. But there's one burning dream driving him, and to make it real, he's got to find his perfect partner. Lydia shoots, is this really the right partner for me? And Roy answers, yes. Then he steps in to thank her for showing up to the celebration, because he doesn't just want to talk, he wants to talk to his future fiancée. He has to buy time before he steps in, and the only way to keep everything from blowing up is to get himself a bride to smooth the way. The homeland of the one who got arrested is exactly the kind of place that fits his rank and his bloodline. The one thing that never changes is this: if he had to pick a political bride, he'd pick her, no question. He tells her she still has time to think, urges her to get to know him first, and pushes to find out if he can trust her. She says she won't repeat the exact same thing, and the prince flips out like that idea is pure magic. She's got every right to take it, because he's using her right now, and that means she can use the same power back. Lydia insists she needs a little time to think, and the prince grins, agrees, and sweeps in like, let's pick a date. DSL is still in the running, but can she spill the truth to anyone, or will it stay locked inside her forever? The prince gives the nod, no need to keep secrets from his friends. Roy wants to use it to stay in touch with Duke Ernst, but Lydia clocks the truth, she's just his convenient excuse. Still, Roy is all smiles and ready to talk with her, so the Duke will come second. She snaps that it won't change a thing, then swears she can give him what he needs. The prince turns and thanks her. Lydia looks at him and thinks he's all softness. The prince leans in and demands, so you really don't love me? She shoots back, no way, definitely the opposite. If Roy truly was her fiancé, then the danger was about to skyrocket. If he calls off the engagement, her family could get slammed with serious trouble. Roy slowed down just enough to think, because he knew every move he made would decide the future. Roy's a big deal. Getting engaged to a prince is pure honor, yet she can't even find the words, and before she can breathe, Isaiah comes up to her. Someone asks if everything's okay, and she just looks lost. Lydia says, I was only thinking. Isaac blurts that he wanted to share his secret with her today, then he calls. He sweeps in clothes, asks her to come with him, and promises he's going to make her happy no matter what. She spots a 4-leaf clover in his garden, and her jaw drops in pure amazement. Lisa leans in and tells them there's tons of it here, and before she even finishes, you realize they were just normal until she went through. She's staring in shock, and Isaac blurts out that it all starts the moment she steps on. A fresh new leaf is sprouting in the stable, and she's staring at him like, why didn't you do this yourself? Isaac insists it has to be her. Wherever she steps, luck comes sprinting right behind her. She's not even sure why she's upset, but she forces herself forward, because if she keeps going, it'll all work out. Lydia's tears spill down her face, and she can't stop crying. Isaac has no clue what's going on. He only wanted to back her up, but he feels horribly insensitive and genuinely regrets being clueless. Lydia's stomach dropped as she feared her choice was a mistake she couldn't take back. But Isaac lit a spark of happiness in her heart, pushing her to give everything she had and keep charging forward. Go on, say it. If those words could make her smile, I know it would hit just right, Isaac, she's telling you. That one night, she crossed paths with a prince at a party. He turned out to be an absolute gem, an amazing dancer with a kind heart and a sharp mind. She got picked as a future bride, and they crossed paths again, and he boldly declared that she was the perfect candidate. She couldn't stop staring at the brides and princes in those books, like they were right out of a dream. But she never imagined she'd end up one of them. Her mind reeled, and she had no clue what to do next. Isaac agrees with her. Yeah, she was totally stunned, even though being chosen was a huge honor. He admits he never even thought about love or marriage, and Isaac snaps that she's younger and still basically a child. So yeah, it makes sense to worry, because trying to juggle studying and marriage is brutal. He asks her if this is truly the final call, and Lydia admits Sir Roy told her to sit with the choice a while Isaac basically begs you, don't rush this. At least the prince isn't a disaster, but she can't just blurt out that kind of life or death choice. Breathe, live in the moment, and trust that things will fall into place. She nods along with him, then tells him she's still in the running. Isaac swears it's all okay as long as she's smiling. But why does he only care about her? Isaac tells him, I don't know the prince, and shuts down any need to dwell on this stranger, because all he wants is for her to be happy. She remembers her father's words, tell me when you decide, if you don't, I'll walk away, and then Katerina leans in like, do what you feel is right. She had no clue how many people were secretly cheering her on, all wishing her happiness. She's insanely lucky. She marches up to Isaac, asks for his permission, and gets to take the clover home. He lets it happen. Lydia's got this paperclip, and she's determined to turn it into bookmarks. Then she shot everyone a heartfelt thanks and wrapped her wishes of good luck around them like a promise. And as for Isaac, she's totally stuck. He's already grown, and the guy has 0 books. He blurts out that he's a fool, because the whole time he swore he'd been growing a garden for her. But he can still slip away to someplace wild before he's all grown up. I swear I just want him to grow up already, like right now. Night falls, and he's dragged back into his past life in his dreams. He jolts awake, heads to wash his face, and brrr, cold hits him like a punch, and before he knows it, months have already gone by. Months have slid by since Melody spilled the news that she's engaged to the prince, yet somehow their bond feels exactly the same. Since then, everything's shifted, except one thing. Melody still shows up in the garden way less now, because the prince only meets her twice a month. He's burning with curiosity. He's never even seen a prince. Love marriages are what bring regular people together in both his old life and now, but he's clueless about political marriages, and here, Milady and the prince are both younger than him. Thinking about marriage without love feels impossible, and he knows he shouldn't butt in, because their values don't match at all. He knows the truth, but he still pushes for her to marry for love, and when it clicks, real joy lights up his face. He froze when Melida started to cry. Yeah, they were happy tears, but still he couldn't quite breathe. Bill couldn't stand the thought of her tears. He swore she'd stay smiling no matter what. He's just an ordinary guy with no power to change anything, so all he can do is pray she finds happiness. He just blurts out, "I can't do anything else anymore." He fires off a call and demands to know who he's talking to. Isaac snaps back, "A rabbit," and then Melody presses, "Which rabbit?" Isaac holds up the rabbit for her, and she squeals about how ridiculously cute it is. She reaches for the rabbit, but Isaac yanks her back and growls that it's made of snow. Snow's gross and she'll get frostbite if she touches it. She's got no gloves, so she shouldn't touch it because it's inflating right now. Isaac can only think one thing: maybe she actually likes him. He asks if he should slip a penny into her room. He'll even use fresh snow to do it, but he tells himself it's smarter to leave it on the terrace instead. She's all smiles, begs him for a promise, and swears she'll talk to her father to use magic so Isaac won't melt. Isaac vows it, then makes a hair. Sem fired off a quick check-in, asking how Melody was and whether the prince showed up yesterday, and she nodded, saying he did come, and wow, he looked stunning in that elegant white dress. Isaac's sure she'll come back here again, but Milady probably thinks it's rude to gush about her handsome prince, so she only talks about him to him, never to her mother or Miss Catherine. She tells me Sir Roy probably has a sister, same hair color, and she's incredibly nice, like she's showing me something in the moment. He got it from her friend and her idol. Either way, he's over the moon, and it looks like they've actually become friends. Lydia says she told her. Isaac clocks how Flora lights up when she talks about the prince. Her sweetness is real, and that smile fits her perfectly. But no matter what, he always manages to get under her skin. "Wait, say that again," Isaac blurts, because maybe he messed it up and said the wrong thing. He blurts out an apology and swears he's listening to her every word, and Melody cuts him off. "That's enough for today." Isaac throws in one more sorry for whatever he said that somehow set her off again. She walks out, leaving him clueless about what he did this time, but he clenches his resolve and forces himself to focus on the now, because this moment matters. For now, he was soaking up the melodies, grinning while he listened again and again. Then my father shows up in the garden and he tells him he wasn't dodging work, he just couldn't resist helping out in the greenhouse too. My dad outright refuses, and Isaac shoots back that he won't let Lita come when the weather turns cold. Then my father finally relents. Isaac tells her he can't wait to grow up and become a gardener, even if it's not much right now. Gardening isn't some real profession, but he can totally pick it up, especially since he started early. Still, whether he'll pull it off before Melida's wedding is up in the air, and deep down, it's probably not happening. You don't need to stress about tomorrow, just grind hard today and handle everything you've got. You've got this, Lydia, go to sleep. She's convinced that if she just hands it over, everything will somehow be like before. She can't believe it. She cracks the box open and stares at the four-leaf clover like it's a miracle. She could hand her father and Catherine four-leaf clover bookmarks in a snap. But she still can't picture handing Isaac the bookmark now. Since he doesn't own a single book, it feels useless, and with the way he dresses, he'll never, ever take anything pricey. She's spiraling over what she should do, like she still feels the old panic crawling back again. And then he shot back, saying he'd be happy no matter what, as long as she was smiling. She flips from side to side in bed, baffled. Why is he always acting like this? Even today, he told her she's really sweet when she talks about the prince. She craved a little more time with him today because tomorrow would steal her chance, and all she could do was picture that rabbit, then look at him and wonder all over again what else she could give Isaac besides a smile. She decides she'll talk to Catherine tomorrow, thanks the rabbit, and sends him off with a warm good night. Morning hits and she springs out of bed, heads straight to the terrace, and puts on a big smile for the adorable rabbit. But she watches Isaac shovel snow like it's a mission. She sprints right up to him and he snaps back, calling her a fool, then yanks off his jacket and scarf to drape them on her before she catches a cold. A melody rings through it. She swears it was made for him, and he shoots back, "Everything's fine," while he keeps working, sweating through the heat. He fires off, asking what she's doing here, and Melody answers that she spotted him from the terrace. Then Isaac snaps back that she doesn't have to sprint over just because he's around. Lydia leaned in and told me, "Today's my birthday. All the other girls are throwing a party just for her." She thought today would never let her witness this. Then Isaac bursts out laughing and tells her, "Don't worry, we can see each other." Once again, she snaps that they can't meet ever again. She shoved herself to the front of the line. His worries didn't matter right now. She only cared about one thing, staying warm and dodging a cold. And then he asked, "Should I be concerned about you?" Milady vows she'll be way more careful next time. He gently strokes her head and tells her with total certainty that she's absolutely beautiful. He pushes the plan, do it now, before Katrina wakes up and ruins everything. Eddie doesn't want to return, she wants to stay with Isaac. They sprint toward the castle and Isaac stops her. Look up for me. He snaps his fingers and unleashes water magic. He claims it's his birthday gift, a rainbow summoned from pure water magic, and yeah, it's absolutely stunning. He beams at her and congratulates her, right on her birthday. Lydia throws him a huge thanks. She begged him to do it again next year, and he nodded, agreeing without hesitation. Yeah, don't panic yet. What you've got right now is worth savoring before you start worrying about anything else. All the other girls piled into the castle to celebrate Lydia's birthday, and Lydia slowly realizes these weren't just classmates, they're young ladies from all sorts of different families, just like her mother promised. They gush compliments and stare with green envy. Some argue they should get a shot too, while others heap praise just to snag her attention, because she's the real frontrunner for the prince's bride. Mom said that today, at the celebration, she'll finally find out who her real friend really is. You'd think being a candidate is her golden ticket, so go on, she should snag that chance and take advantage of Sir Raleigh. She remembers Sir Roy saying the same thing before, then urging her to use it. She's weighing his proposal, and just then the girl calls her. This is Lady Tortella's. She tells them years have flown by and they haven't seen each other in forever, but Tortel's beaming with joy the moment he sees her again, while Lydia chimes in that she's just as happy, and the two of them erupt into squeals of pure delight. With joy like she couldn't help it, she was ready to ask him something, and Turdley asks about. Lydia's mind races over what's behind it all, what kind of gift she can possibly give her husband, so she finally asks. She's mulling over who gets it next, already brushing off anything tied to Sir Gerald, because just recently she handed her father a pendant. Yeah, silver and cheap at that. My dad fights with a sword, so he won't wear rings, and he hates them because they scratch and ruin everything. Lydia swears Isaac's got gloves on, so the ring won't slide on, plus the pendant. It's cheap, looks good, won't get in the way of his work, and won't scratch a thing, so she's convinced this is the perfect one. She snaps her head to Lisa and demands to know where she got it. She swears everything's gonna be okay soon, but the truth is there are way too many alarms ringing to ignore. Lydia remembers that Yule is a winter holiday, and it's celebrated every December. They burst into songs of thanks, and the parents shower their kids with gifts, like heartfelt prayers that beg the future to shine. On this day, kids hand out gifts to their parents, brothers, sisters, and friends, so she could even slip Isaac a present, and Lydia quickly thanks Lady Total Eyes while scrambling to get everything ready, praying he'll love what she picked. His little sister is begging for help because she's totally stuck. Tejej leans in and asks her straight up what she wants. She tells him it's an autumn game and that the tactical RPG stuff is way too complicated. He nods like, got it, and then she immediately makes the very first request of him. You tell them he's good at this, so he ought to help. Takai snaps back that she's totally clueless and keeps getting stuck on puzzles. Then she begs him again to teach her awkward little sister, and he says sure, because he has no other choice. She thought she'd be trapped forever, then everything turned around, and now she's headed for a happy ending, so she thanks him, and that's when he hears a voice calling his name. He shouts, Isaac, then jolts awake and finds his mom leaning over him, begging him to wake up because it's time to go. He has to splash his face, grab breakfast, and bolt because Dennis is already gone. Isaac's mind drifts to one thing, the dream of his past life coming back again. He's racking his brain for the name Yuko dropped, like it just vanished right before he could catch it. Honestly, he's got zero interest in the autumn games. He's heading straight for the greenhouse, right when Dia calls out to him. Isaac can't stop thinking about it. Why does she always come running for tea? Lydia turns to Dennis and asks, can me and I take this job? He nods along, convinced it's just a break, and Isaac can't even miss his dad. He sees him all the time. A rare smile breaks his face. He grins and says they look like a bear and a cat tangled together. And yeah, he's even a little relieved to see the father talk to his child without a single pause. Catherine pours the tea, bows politely, and heads for the door. Then Isaac asks her to join them, and she shakes her head, saying she's got a ton left to do. He figures she's only being polite, and then he remembers his father is gone too. He leans in and presses Melody, asking why she chose to set up tea right here. Then she smiles and tells him this is where they can finally kick back and unwind together. They usually stand out in the garden and chat. If they dared to sit back comfortably, everyone would instantly notice. And this is the one safe spot where guys like him and Liddy can finally sip tea in peace. Seriously, nothing beats sipping tea with company instead of alone. Isaac presses her on why she won't share tea with Katrina, and Daya finally admits the truth. She's too scared to make that invitation. Isaac suspects she's scared her request will come off like a command, and he thinks she's weighing Katrina's vibe too. Then he asks if he can invite her, but Lydia shuts him down. She insists she's alone, and Isaac nods, thinking she's fighting tooth and nail to be seen, not realizing how much shame and fear are probably gripping Milady as she struggles to show her real self. The first time they crossed paths, she hid behind her title and snapped back in defiance. Because once someone finally shows who they really are, it's way easier to strike at that soft spot, and that fear hits anyone hard. He tells her, "You've gotten stronger." Lita asks, "So that's a compliment?" And when she hears yes, she grins and adds, "Good, because I'm seriously cool." Daya swears she's better than the prince, because he never bothered to truly meet his highness, just judged him by his manners, and Isaac nods right along, realizing the usual prince talk is finally kicking off. He genuinely thinks Milady is amazing, because in his old life he couldn't do that for anyone, so he clung to a lie, acted like it didn't hurt, and died before ever showing his real self, and now he can't help but call himself a fool. He can't stop wondering how Yuka, his little sister, is holding up after his death, and yeah, he knows her too well to doubt it. She's still out there, happily tearing up the autumn games. Razor, listen up, here's the real deal, big. A tidy house, a garden that's basically glowing, and a stunning blonde standing there like she's straight out of a classic fantasy game, until Sir Roy shows up. He still remembers the way his sister once said she thought she'd be trapped forever. Yet now she's got her happy ending with Sir Roy, and she's thanking him for it. He remembers grilling that guy about his insane stats because his skills and level were just on another planet. And even if he tries to deny it, it all points to one thing. He's not that guy, it's Sir Roy. It's not that he hated strong people, she just played horribly and he kept snapping, "If you're so strong, why can't you win?" Then you'd shrug and say some walls won't budge, no matter how much love you throw at them. And hey, when it comes to love obstacles, Soroya already has a fiancé, a sweet, pleasant guy. So he sat down and asked her sister what she liked, and her sister showed him a picture. She's right there in his phone, there's the name clear as day, Lady Lydia von Ernst, Sir Roy's bride candidate, and as he digs through his pictures, one photo snaps into place and he realizes exactly what it is. Milady, Sir Roy, Milady again, and now all of them are locked in an engagement. She's got the exact same full name as Milady. Maybe it's just a wild coincidence or something bigger. This is the one clue he clings to from Yuki's minigame. It hits him Sir Roy's game called RLJ Leonard von Rosenstein, the first prince of the kingdom of Avento, and suddenly the whole world clicks. 7 characters, 7 magic elements, 12 months in a year, seasons like Japan, and a magical academy packed with tons of noble kids. Only the people who hit the rules can step inside, just like a classic fantasy game world, and Isaac realizes it's an autumn game. This is the world of autumn games, but for him, it's the real battlefield. If the whole world is run like a game, then he better start paying attention to what matters. He insists we need to calm down, and as he drinks his tea, Lydia is yelling that he's not listening, while Isaac snaps back that he is. Still, he can't shake it. They called the game Your Star, and he wasn't even there. Turns out the trouble is all on her. Milady is one of the brides-to-be on Roy's branch, and yep, that's where her heart gets smashed. But even then, she doesn't die, and she doesn't lose her life. He lets out a shaky sigh, and peace finally washes over him. But those memories are useless now. Eddie and he are safe, no matter which branch it is. He shouldn't even entertain that thought. If Milady still loves Sir Roy like in the game, he'd be blown away. Daya insists Sir Roy really is impressive, even at their last meeting. In the game, this political marriage turns into something sweet, and when it does, Milady finally gets her happy ending. But they could shut her down, and Isaac can't stand the thought of her crying. He's got no clue what to do if Milady suddenly falls head over heels for Soroya. They're heading into the Magic Academy side by side to back each other up, because even if he's a commoner, the right magic can make him stand on the same ground too. Milady's even helping him learn to write, and honestly, the schools and magic here are wild. Now the big question hits, how much magic will it take to keep up, and how high can he push his power? If he ever ran into Milady again, it'd never cross his mind to do something like that. Milady stuck by his side, and it gave him a ton of chances he could actually use. For example, most ordinary folks can't drink red tea. but he can because he's with her and he figures it'll impress the lady as he shows her the garden, so he goes for it and ends up enjoying every sip. He blurts out that he's genuinely thrilled they met. Daya has no clue what he's even talking about, and rage burns in her eyes. Daya is yelling that he can't just ignore her again. Isaac finally clocks that he's messed up once more, but instead of pure rage, she looks utterly confused. She says she wants to talk about Flora, and he nods along, only to realize he totally thought it was the prince until the truth hit him. It's the sister. Daya glances at the clock and snaps, "Time to go." Isaac offers to walk her home, but she shuts it down. Katrina's on the way to pick her up. She lifts the pendant toward him, holding out her hand and daring him to take it. He's lifting things like he means it. Look at him. He's into the whole a pendant vibe, but it still doesn't fit Melinda. He swings it open and freezes. There inside is a 4-leaf clover she picked from his garden. He grins and claims the pendant is just as cute as her, and Melody freezes, then blurts, "Wait, why would you say that?" Isaac swears he'll talk to himself later, but you're already sure that's not going to happen. It matters. Look at his face. Isaac straight up asks if it'd be better if they stopped talking. Lydia shuts him down. She refuses to do that. Isaac is grinning and asks you if she regrets it. Then you blurt that it's his clone. Isaac freezes, totally lost. Melody tells everyone she made bookmarks for her dad and others, but since he doesn't have any books, she's giving him this pendant instead. He'd already heard the rumor. She handed Clover straight to the Duke, and the guy was so thrilled lately he couldn't stop bragging about it. But he never could have guessed he'd get something this wild too. He tells them it's cheap and Katrina snatched it from a regular store. Isaac jumps in, thanking Daya, then promises he'll take care of it. He presses, "So why hand it to me right now?" Daya smiles and says, "It's the day before all of you, but I totally forgot." So yeah, Christmas showed up. It felt like some weird autumn throwback, and he couldn't shake the gut punch of how it always landed on December 25th. But he can't give her a single answer. He just blurts that he didn't prepare anything. Daya says she got a ton from him, and Isaac blurts out, "Yeah, but which ones?" She leans in and tells him, like, for example, "My treasure is the snow hare." And she's given him more than enough in return. Every letter he wrote and mailed fills him with pure joy. They're his priceless treasure, and the last time he made a rabbit in exchange, it felt even better. Only a total fool wouldn't protect this girl. He promises he'll toss in one more extra gift, just wait. When someone dares to insult her, he snaps into action. He demands to know who it was, then threatens to smash the offender himself. Daya pushes back, asking why that cruelty is necessary, but Isaac just tells her, "Don't worry, remember this." He shrugs off the prince and the whole thing being just a game, because all he cares about is my lady. Nobody insults her, not on his watch. He swears this pendant is sacred, and yeah, it sounds weird to you, but he's fully convinced it can help him pray to God. He clenches the pendant tight and makes a wish, praying Milady keeps that smile shining. The prince lounged in the library, handling his affairs while the world waited on him. The steward clocked it instantly. His Highness was actually loving this. He snaps back that he's still got a mountain of papers to review, and he brushes off the Duke as a cold aristocrat, strict, sure, just not in the same way his father was. The butler then leans in, shocked, saying it's way too strange for the Duke to talk like that, and that the rumors are sounding dangerously true. His method for spotting magical abilities actually worked, and he couldn't hide his shock. He froze when they demanded a report on hydrangea color, and he had to accept the wild truth that hue can shift with someone's magic. It's a damn shame you've got to prune them before they start wilting, because they only bloom based on your skill. So yeah, he's freaking out and has to prune those flowers now, or they won't bloom next year, and his sister loves them, so he's determined to show her again. Her Highness loved every second of it and likely bragged to her brother too, because their tastes line up perfectly. Then the butler leaned in and said he's a gardening expert, explaining he'd even talked it over with a specialist. A list, then boom, someone starts pounding on the door and the prince swings it open, letting me inside. Roy's sister storms in and tells him to look up at himself, because he's been glued to those papers nonstop. He spots Felina and grins, saying she's a little early today. Then Felina yells back that she can wake up on time, anytime. He asks if she woke up on her own, and the nurse snaps back that the maid did the job, waking her up for her. The prince breaks into laughter and Felina erupts in a scream, snapping that he's laughing way too much. He blurts out an apology, laughs like, "Man, I just have the sweetest little sister," and then leans in to ask, "Okay, so what happened?" Felina tells him the garden roses finally burst into bloom and invites him to come see. The prince says he's got a bit of time before the next meeting. Then Felina pulls him toward the garden, plus he agrees to slip out for a short while. Felina blurts, "Can I call Klaus?" And Roy doesn't stop her, he just shoots back, "So, will you bolt when he shows up?" Felina tells Klaus that next time she'll go with him, and as they stare out at the garden, she can't help but light up while admiring the flowers. Roy catches on that she's absolutely, head over heels in love with roses. She says she wants to bring them up to him because they look just like him. Then he snaps back that no, they remind you of her instead. Felina shakes her head and snaps back again, saying he fits in with them more. Then Roy fires off that only Felina and Lady Lydia are the ones who truly praise her back. Lady Lydia is on the short list of brides, one of the possible picks. Felina blurts out that she finds it straight up fascinating. It's honestly wild he's into someone even though he figured she hates political games. Felina even tells him the same thing, saying he's strange and she never once drops the names of other candidates. Roy remembers it's exactly like that. He leans in and tells me Lady Lydia's got wavy golden hair and blazing blue eyes, so striking they look like black flowers. And the first time he met her, she wore a blue dress. Later, she's usually in pale pink, and honestly, she's so beautiful she could be mistaken for a flower spirit. She and he stepped onto the floor together for the first time, and she immediately danced like she'd been training for it. Then the whole room erupted in applause. Felina demands a blue dress, a soft light pink one, and most importantly, someone who can dance, and that's how Lady Lydia gets named. The valet storms in and tells them the prince's next meeting is about to start. Roy immediately blurts out an apology to Phil, but she waves him off, says she's fine, thanks him for keeping her company, and sends him off with good luck, so Roy promises he'll be back. They're rattling through the streets in a carriage, and the prince leans out the window, soaking in every face in the city like he's chasing a dream. The steward says it's weird, how can he not get bored staring at the same street? And the prince snaps back, of course not. Every single day changes the whole thing. He glances down the street, spots kids bolting around, and blurts out, "Can I ask them?" The butler blurts out his piece, and the prince snaps back with his own question. How do you even make friends? He blurts out why he even bothered asking, and the prince snaps back that one person turned down his proposal. So the butler nods, says he gets it, and fires off the real question. How would their highness react in that moment, and would they just blurt yes right away? The prince admits it won't be that simple because it all comes down to who you're dealing with, and the butler agrees, saying not everyone's ready to say yes when. Roy suddenly realizes he picked the wrong words and he shuts down with his friends, like he can't talk the same way anymore. The steward demands to know what became of the person who told him no, and the press claims they still spot each other every now and then. The steward snaps in surprise and the paper in his hand spells it out. He's carrying out the man's orders. He asks, "Do I really have to stay with you?" And the prince calmly promises, "Yeah, this is plenty." Lately, he's been pulling his weight, yeah, but it's way more fun having him around. The steward can't help but wonder, does this mean we're already friends? They burst up to the castle gates. Lydia rushes to him, then greets him warmly as soon as he steps into the house. The prince sighs, saying they haven't crossed paths in ages, but Lily cuts in and snaps that it's only been 2 weeks, and the prince clocks just how packed her schedule is. Everyone else groaned that they were sick of waiting for ages. Then Lydia quickly apologized. But the prince drops to ask for forgiveness because he didn't mean it that way at all, and he's praying he'll get to hear about those good, happy days. Lydia nods in agreement, and the prince tells her to show him the garden today because he swears it'll do him a world of good. Lydia grins and promises she'll treat him to tea. They head to the garden and she tells him today she's changed for the better. Then her voice drops as she confesses she's ashamed she hasn't shown him the kind of respect other girls give him. He insists no, seriously, that he's happy, and he makes it sound like it's obvious. She still had plans to get through before she met him, but the other girls wouldn't let it go. They wanted every detail about him, and Lydia figured it was because he was just that interesting. Still, the text makes it clear. He hates these talks and thinks they're straight up not fun at all. Lydia's parents trained other girls to charm their way into approval, twisting affection into something fake, so Lydia says she gets it and asks for advice. Should she keep listening to him or shut it down? But Lady Lydia, she's the real deal, and he can't help but light up at seeing her in person. He leans in and asks what she's dying to show him today. Lydia unveiled the acacias bursting with bloom, with gorgeous magnolias standing nearby, and the prince lit up with pure satisfaction. Ernst's garden kept shifting and changing, bringing joy after joy, and Lydia admitted she loved this garden too. They hear a sharp crack and something crashes out of the tree. The prince hurls himself in front of Sophia, barking, "Back now." He's convinced this has to be the culprit. He crumples to the ground, then snaps back up, brushing off the dust, insisting everything's okay, while clutching a fistful of leads. Lydia demanded to know why he'd fallen from that spot, but Isaac just stared back, totally clueless about what she meant. He insists it's not the right place, just the top of the tree. Lydia screams that she needs answers. Why did he fall out of it in the first place? Isaac snaps back that he'd chopped off a few branches to decorate Eddie's room, thinking he could reach his target and be fine. Lydia blurts out that it's dangerous, and Isaac just thanks her for looking after him. Then Lydia snaps that he didn't even apologize. Roy blurts that it's hilarious, he's never once seen her this relaxed. Sir Roy soaked up every detail, and Isaac stared at him like he was trying to crack the truth open. And he's left staring in shock because that's Sir Roy. Lydia insists she didn't say a single weird thing, but Isaac snaps back that this guy's suspicious. And then Dia explodes into a scream. Sir Roy is the heir to the throne, while Isaac jabs her with his finger and goes way too far. He calls her this guy, and Isaac practically begs for a swap, only to have a written note slap the plan down. Everything's all good, even while they're stuck in a casual, informal setting. Isaac insists he'll never meet him because he's just a commoner, and the prince bursts out laughing, telling him to stop saying never. Isaac tells them that if this keeps going, he'll be scared to treat him politely, and he says he feels the same way. Lydia watches them and bluntly asks if they really even know each other. Isaac says this guy got swallowed by the city. Roy insists he only helped when they were wandering around. Lydia swears she's never heard a word about it. And then Isaac tells the prince to save his complaints for Leo. Only Isaac knows Sir Roy is Leo and somehow doesn't know it at the very same time. Roy choked out an apology and swore he'd planned to explain everything face to face, but somehow they never crossed paths again. Isaac asks Leo if he wanted to surprise him, and Leo shoots back that he was dying to see his reaction, only for Isaac to admit he wasn't surprised at all. He says he already knew about Leo's high status, and now it finally clicks that acting like a proper adult would come naturally. He fires back, "Is that really all?" And Isaac just snaps, "That's all." They're cracking up and the whole place feels electric. The prince starts to glow right in front of them, and Isaac immediately ducks behind Eddie, begging, "Stop glowing." Lydia loses it and screams, "Don't use me as a shield, Isaac." That means she's packed with magic, so she can guard everyone like a shield and pull it off without breaking a sweat. Lydia snaps, "Where's the logic?" But her magic can't save him. Roy kept Isaac in the dark about who he really was because he didn't want Isaac to pity him or treat him like he was different. The prince bursts into laughter, then the butler suddenly barges in and calls him over, asking what's going on, insisting they've still got time. He explains that they've been sipping tea for far too long, the noise has gotten a little out of hand, and he swore something must have happened. In the video, they rush in to apologize and claim their gardener was rude. Then Isaac steps up and says, "I'm his friend." It's a damn shame because the two of them lock eyes and just stare like it's the whole world. He spots him and blurts, "Why is Isaac here?" Isaac clocks Matthews too, then straight up tells him that this outfit doesn't fit him at all. Matthews finally gets it. This isn't just some guy, it's the same one who flat out refused to be friends. Roy bursts into laughter, thinking Isaac's way more blown away by Matthews than by the fact that he's a prince. Isaac leans in and demands, "Milady, how much longer is this going to drag on?" She has no clue, so she blurts out that if anything went wrong, it's his fault. No matter if it was an autumn harvest or any other day, they soaked up every moment together, and seeing that prince this happy is straight up wonderful. In the garden, Flora suddenly snatches Lydia's hand and yanks her forward, demanding she stop, while Isaac blurts, "What's going on?" Lydia snaps that Flora isn't letting go. She's tearing into today with pure, unstoppable energy. A whole year slid by since he became the gardener's apprentice, and that's when he finally met Melody. Even when he finally clocked that this was the world of the autumn game, and that Leo was actually Sir Roy, nothing in his life flipped. He simply points at the air and shows everyone how to play rock, paper, scissors. She shoots Flora a quick question, can she do it, then tries to copy the move and backs away from Lydia. Isaac jumps in with praise, and Flora lets out a happy, satisfied laugh. Lydia's eyes widen. She's shocked because he never listens to her, even though Nilly, one of the game's biggest enemies, would have never missed a word. Now he's just a girl who's constantly fretting over her little sister, and back in that game he wasn't even a real scripted character. So yeah, it's normal for him to live a quiet, forgettable life, but that's exactly why he still clings to memories from his past life. Isaac tells Lydia that kids her age copy everything they see, then he thrusts a flower wreath into her hands and asks if she knows what it's supposed to mean. He explains that if you tie the flower's ends like this, it'll transform into a wreath made out of clothing. Done, he hands Lydia and Flora that beautiful wreath, and it's honestly so lovely. Lydia points at the floral arrangements and laughs, saying he's ridiculously skilled. He's the one who makes these wreaths and all those hanging decorations. He swears he knows she's got this, pushes to start fresh and says, pick a flower first, then split the stars. Crush them in half, coil them around your finger, and just like that, it's done. He grinds clover leaf into a perfect little ring. He tries to brush it off like nothing happened, but the second I see Lydia's face, I know something's gone terribly wrong. Maybe she snapped into anger, then blushed hard when he slid the ring onto the third finger of his hand. She hooks her finger toward his left hand, and Isaac instantly turns scarlet with embarrassment. He insists it was an accident. Tell him to shut up and say nothing, because if he slips even one word, she won't be accountable for what happens next. He freezes mid-step, clocks her anger, and an awkward silence crashes down between them. But right then, Flora erupts into loud shouting, snatches Melody by her hem again, and demands, "What happened?" while jabbing at her arm. She realizes she wants one too, and Lydia blurts to Isaac, "Can you make another ring for Flora?" But then it cuts off. Not on her unnamed finger. If he'd even dared, she'd have brushed it off and moved on, so yeah, he agrees. He's crafting a ring for Flora with his own hands, but she keeps double-checking everything. She's freaking out because something feels off, but she can't explain it, not when she already has a ring. Isaac tells her she just found a brand new goal, and she's still absolutely obsessed with that pendant. That pendant hung from his neck, ancient as the past itself, yet he still didn't know why it stayed with him. Isaac tells everyone he's been wearing it around his neck ever since the moment she handed it to him. It was tucked under my clothes, so it stayed safe, and now Flora's unearthed it. He swears he'll turn it into a necklace for her, but the clone is demanding she hand it back. This is his treasure, his prize, his lifeline. She's stunned that even in the most ordinary moments, she can feel just how much Isaac cares about her, and it hits her hard because she cares just as deeply back, leaving her wondering what she can do to make his world better. A full year has flown since she met Isaac, and now Sir Roy is patiently waiting, because the moment of truth is coming and she'll have to decide soon. Isaac is posted by the fountain, waiting on Leo, because Leo's a bit late and Isaac showed up earlier than they planned. He spots the old man from the flower shop and sprints straight toward him. He leans in and asks, "So you're really waiting for that young man by the water fountain?" Isaac agrees, then Flora smirks and says, "I swear you stunned him and now I'm rolling with you." Right from the bay, breathless and fighting to stay afloat, he begged to buy hydrangeas and swore he'd pay top dollar. Isaac swears his hydrangeas are special. He can transplant them and they'll bloom year-round except when the rainy season hits, but the flower basement slams the claim as nonsense, accusing him of glagalizing them and insisting it was all just some shady research magic. Magi elements perfume like somebody really needed it. Isaac T can read what's going on in his head, and he even taught him how to grow hydrangeas so he won't abandon her. The seller tells Isaac he's pleased, then waves him off, boom, goodbye, and Isaac swears he'll be back in the store someday. But right in that moment, he feels that cold in the air screams that the dark spirit is here, and Isaac has zero clue how something like that can roam during daylight, so now he's determined to track them down. Wherever magic shows up, spirits usually gather like it's a magnet, because magic isn't just tricks and spells like hypnosis, it's power wicked people love to abuse. He doesn't rage, he goes quiet and chooses caution, then he sprints, convinced the source is right around here. He peeks into the alley and spots a girl sitting there with her back to him, then he blurts out, "Are you?" She trembles, spins around, and demands, "Who's there?" while her hair flashes like starlight, and Isaac's already fed up with this new, ridiculous nonsense. Glittering hair catches the light and he leans in to ask her straight out, "Are you Leo's younger sister?" The girl has no idea who they're talking about, so Isaac leans in and asks, "Is that you, sir?" And when she realizes he somehow knows Roy, shock hits her hard. Isaac finally cracks and admits he's the one who begged him to stroll around the city center with him. And yeah, Isaac's the gardener's apprentice at Ernst's estate. The girl clings to that name in her mind and the meaning hits her. He's working for the lady, but then Isaac spots her and blurts out, "Are you lost?" She answers, "Roy went for a walk, I followed him, and when I looked around, I lost him." Then Isaac tightens up as a cold wave of dark spirits starts pouring out of her cloak. She really ditched Leo, so what's that cloak she left behind? Leo blurts out, "What is that cloak?" She tells you that he'd been stuck in Sir Roy's office, and when she tried on a cloak there, boom, turns out it was magic, and it made her completely invisible. Isaac can't believe it. Roy is so reckless he dares to leave those things unattended. Now it all clicks into place, and it's wild to think a girl dressed like she's royalty could cross the city center and still go totally unnoticed. When Leo first showed up, the whole place erupted in chaos, but the nitty-gritty of how, we're still figuring that part out. He blurts a question, but it gets swallowed up. Isaac gently strokes her head and promises, everything's fine, I'll handle it. She agrees, so Isaac conjures a magic bird, and it shoots into the sky like it's carrying the message straight to his brother. The girl blurts, what was that? And Isaac grins and tells her it's magic for sending messages, then admits he used it to track Sir Roy, even when he was wearing the exact same cloak. Now he's finally ready to lead her to the meeting spot. He tells the girl, don't move, and then everything hangs on that. She warns that one wrong touch to the ground will dirty her hair, so he immediately ties it up. She thanks him and tells him he's got a gift for long hair, and Isaac explains it all. Back when his younger sister was little, she'd always beg him to do her ponytail, so yeah, he had to learn fast. The girl demands answers again. Turns out he's got a younger sister, but he smirks and insists she's not just her, she's a former sister. He shoots his hand out and beckons her closer, but as she tries to rise, her hurt leg screams in pain. She usually paces the halls of the castle, and it's obvious she keeps pushing that overloaded leg just out of pure habit. Isaac drops into a squat and beckons the girl up, telling her to climb onto his shoulder. Most regular people can't afford a carriage, so he grabs it and carries it himself. He scoops her onto his back and sprints off, then asks her name. She answers him right there. Elena's here, and he immediately asks, are you a bit late? But maybe he should step up and talk to her. Given her background, she just shrugs and says it's not necessary. This isn't an official welcome at all. Isaac insists they're definitely brother and sister because they're just too alike, and Elena nods along. Eyes or not, they act like two peas in a pod. Isaac quickly adds, I'm not talking about looks, I mean their behavior. This is the first time anyone's admitted they look alike, not just on the outside. Isaac says she seems genuinely honest and acts her age, but Leo's carrying himself like an old man, and it feels completely wrong for him. Olna blurts out what that old man is, and Isaac explains his body's got the face of a kid, yet his attitude screams adulthood, so he needs to rest way more often. Elena nods along because Roy is always overworking, and Isaac adds that she's genuinely worried. Olna's worry for her brother hits hard, and she quickly agrees, saying he's the most precious person in her world. Melody is the only real rival Roy faces on his route. Yuki never says a word about her, and she doesn't bring up Elena either, but honestly, none of that changes a thing. It just means she's not one of the main players. She can be whoever she wants, but if she doesn't mess with his life or melodies, she doesn't matter. He's convinced his knowledge is twisted way off course, because the lesson he lived with his own eyes clashes hard with what he remembers after he helped Yuki with the game. While he got to live a second life inside the game, Yuki couldn't help wishing she had it too. He remembers how she kept getting jammed in the game and turning to him, begging for help. Elena bursts out that she genuinely believed she was trapped. Yuki's signature phrase, maybe it's her after all. Meet Elena von Rosenhen, a princess from Fellaini, the royal family's third child born to the king and his first queen. She remembers every second of her past life, but none of that even matters because she's one of the rare few who's born with terrifying magical power. She's got two things in her that she can't quite rein in, and that's why her body ends up right where. In a bad mood, she ripped open the sky with raw magic. Then when she sobbed, the world around her shattered to pieces. Fear gnawed at her every second, so she shut herself away inside the palace and refused to face anyone. She couldn't stand how freaky and off-putting she felt, like everyone could see her weirdness coming. And right when she needed him most, her savior finally showed up, dear brother Roy. She's got two older brothers, but only Roy shares her blood, and the three of them all wield light magic, which is so rare it almost feels impossible. Roy treated her like family. He pulled her through her darkest days, cracked the mystery of why her magic was going out of control, then patiently taught her how to tame it step by step, and she loved him with her whole heart. Every time someone told her she looked like him, her heart lit up, because even a little resemblance to her beloved older brother made her feel genuinely proud. When he was always too swamped to be with her, she'd stare at herself in the mirror, forcing the loneliness back for a moment, tracking his features in her reflection until that need turned into a constant habit. One day, she stared at her reflection and it hit her. She'd seen that face before, and somehow she also remembered her own name, Felina Alina von Rosenheim. She was the secondary heroine from an autumn game she'd lived before, and there she sat perched on a branch right beside this year's beloved star. This is the official name, and it's loaded with secret power just waiting to explode. In her past life, Yuka finally stumbled on her dream guy, then thought it all had to be too perfect to last. Cold air bites hard and she almost gets caught, then she spots it on the cover, grabs the game, and can't let it go. Yuka freezes, stuck between starting her branch or waiting until training ends because she's sure she'll figure everything out once it's over. She just wants to play, and with magic so strong it practically sings, Jiggy gets accepted into the Academy of Magic. Then they drop her there with 0 answers and boom, the game starts. That corner hydrangea is showing off its magic, and yep, Jig is special, but she doesn't have any real powers because her flower started out pure white. Each partner has a unique vibe. How fast Jiggy clicks with you depends on your personality, and the hydrangea color flips based on the branch you control. Light green for wind, orange for earth, purple for darkness, infrared for fire, sky blue for water, white for nothing, light yellow for light, and yellow for electricity. In that fantasy academy, she flips the whole script, starts with the bad ending where Prince Roy breaks her heart, then picks up the good ending only after she's cleared every other branch. The room was empty, so Yuka spent the entire night there by herself. After a few hours, she decides the prince is downright amazing because he's just too polite, like he's carved out of a shining beam of light. Yuka figures real men only exist in games. In the game, someone shows up before Prince Roy and the girl, right there, demands permission to explain why a girl like her is unworthy of him, and yeah, that's where the rivalry ignites. A principled rival and a noble woman, good luck. If your hard work doesn't turn into real results, you'll never steal the spot of his fiancée, so keep that in your head. Tell her you want a fair fight, yeah, that's the move. She's too honest to pull any sneaky tricks, she can't just pretend she doesn't like it. So yeah, you might think she'll tough it out and finally say the truth. But she's been stuck in this game for ages, and now the time is finally here, everything's set, and she's so close she feels like she could quit any second. She's sure this girl is her brother's beloved, and she's tagging her as the brand new character on the board. So let me introduce you to Felina Alina von Rosenheim. She's about to take center stage. Selina was just a side character in Prince Roy's story, popping into school from time to time, because every single moment forces you to gamble on the wrong choice, or else you'll never land the good ending. If they ever met her, she'd spill the truth Prince Roy wouldn't dare say, and yeah, she's his second favorite character after him. But after showing up for him so many times, she couldn't believe it. Somehow, she'd grown attached to her older brother. Born Felina, she lived her life like it was happening inside her own heartbeat. She felt her pain sharper than anyone else, and that's why her love for her brother burns so bright. Through every chapter, past and present, he was the one constant who kept handing her happiness. She's convinced this is the real difference, so she digs up memories from her past life and uses them to make sure Roy ends up smiling, because now it's her turn to do right by him. She remembers the warning, dodge those few critical moments, or this branch with the prince will crash into a terrible ending. Roy couldn't bury his feud with Klaus, so Klaus grabbed the throne, and the swarm can't survive Roy's two-sided power, light and dark, so just stay clear of it and you're heading for a good ending. Felina decides she can't waste this chance, she's going all in, so she starts by getting close to her brothers first, and turns out her older brother is a second-class prince. Klaus is the game's other storyline. He goes head-to-head with Roy for the throne, and the stakes are brutal. Roy wins and you get the good ending, but if Klaus takes the crown, it all turns into a bad ending. This might all circle back to Klaus and his branch, but it's still out there, popping up now and then, so there has to be a way to pull the brothers back together. She asks Klaus if he wants tea with her and Roy, but Klaus is. The moment Queen Simona steps in, she clutches her son close, terrified she'll be forced to hand him away, while Klaus is stuck across the room, lost in his violin. Klaus shoots an apology and Felina cuts him off, telling him she won't bother him while he's busy. Every time she's about to pull the class in, Queen Simona barrels in and cuts her off. Then, even when she finally brings the class along, they still won't get close to Roy. Approaching him is a nightmare, but Felina refuses to quit. She'll hunt down the answer no matter what. That swarm is packed with both light and dark magic, and for now he only knows the light side, so this isn't getting them answers faster here. The truth will hit once they enter the academy, especially since she's been terrified of his magic spiraling out of control. Still, whenever it happens, he's never alone. She's right there, worried, ready, and determined to stand by his side when his magic breaks him. If anything tries to drag him under, she wants him to grab her hand and trust her, because she was meant to be the one person he could talk to about everything. But for right now, none of that can touch this one situation, not even a bit. It just gives the busy brother a rare moment to breathe with tea, and yeah, it's a little cliché. She's a princess carrying memories from a past life. She's convinced she can pull it off, so she slips into his room and freezes because he isn't there. But he notices the hydrangeas are blooming in a soft, light yellow glow. Just like light and purple magic, dark magic works the same way, so the swarm already knows about his dark magic. She expected him to learn those powers only at the academy, not before, and Felina can't figure out how he discovered it in the first place. That wasn't the only curveball. She pressed him to paint a picture of what Lady Lydia looked like. It felt like the Lydia Roy kept talking about wasn't the same girl she remembered at all. Her hair and eyes match in color, but every other detail is totally different. She remembers her first dress being bright red as a kid, but her brother insisted it was blue with light pink mixed in. And yeah, the dancing too, because in the game, they even say that when they first met. Lady Lydia tried to dance, and the whole thing went badly fast until she crashed down with a fall. Roy shot out his hand, yanked her to her feet, and just like that, her heart locked onto him. Here, even then, it didn't fall. He said she danced beautifully, not like in game. Maybe Lady Lydia still remembers her past life, and if that's true, she'd already know exactly what to do. Whenever the chance shows up, do everything you can to talk to her. She's the top pick for the bride, and she could end up as the daughter-in-law. Felina's got a plan. She wants to meet Lydia. She's desperate to escape the palace. Maybe she can snag a cloak from Roy's study. That's all she can think of. So she rushes to straighten up his room, grabs his cloaks, and slips out. And there she got completely lost. She scrambled to catch up to her brother, but he vanished from her sight, and when her legs gave out, she collapsed in the alley, staring at the dark and spiraling over what would happen if she never made it home. She decided it was smarter to stay on guard before the game even kicked off, because trouble was already crawling in. Then she suddenly heard someone ask, "Are you okay?" Felina can't believe she's even getting spotted, especially in a raincoat, and the second she calls out, "Who's there?" she spots them. An everyday guy stepped up and asked her straight up if she's Leo's younger sister, calling Leo a nickname pulled from Leonhard, and even explained that Roy's middle name is Leonhard too. She can't find a single person who calls him that, so she has no clue who this mysterious guy even is. Then he stepped up and said his name was Isaac, Roy's buddy and Lady Lydia's gardener assistant. Then she spotted it, and an eerie, ancient nostalgia slammed into her like a wave. Memories, straight up flashes of when she was still Yuka, and the ones that hit hardest, the moments she shared with her older brother. Her brother always butting heads with their stubborn father, then the brother who never lied to himself, and finally, the brother who was taken in a deadly accident. Her parents froze in shock, and she could barely even process what just happened. For this, they slammed a death sentence on him. She snapped, "You're a fool," because he could hear them reach their family and dig up those far-off memories, and the memories of her brother that had been trapped away. Maybe that's why it all hit at once. Every memory of hers came rushing back. Then she said the words she always used to say back when she was Yuka. "Thank you very much." She was already convinced she'd hit a dead end, then one simple sentence slammed them right back together. Not with her brother Roy, not with Klaus, but with her absolute idiot of a brother. Isaac leans in and demands to know if she's truly Yuka. The girl leans in and asks, "So you really do have a heartbeat that never slows down?" He stares at the whole situation for a beat, then thinks, this is too simple to stall. The words hit him like a memory. His sister used to say that phrase, and his eyes snap to the girl as he asks, "Are you Yuka?" Then it clicks, it's Takai. The girl tells him to call her Lady Alina, and he just smirks. Sure, rudeness is basically her thing, but if he's being honest, that's the very first thought that hits him. Felina snaps, "So what are you doing, and who is Isaac?" And he stammers that he has no clue who he is, plus he can't remember Alina at all. They spill it out, Alina's her middle name and Felina is her first, and boom, you realize she's one of Prince Roy's side characters. She picked Alina because T-Chai calls Roy Leo, and now Isaac finally gets exactly where that connection came from, but don't expect him to remember the names of any of these secondary characters. She snaps that she's the secondary heroine, and he's not even background noise, while he's completely clueless about how reincarnation is even supposed to work. But by some crazy twist, he just so happens to recognize Roy, and he finally understands exactly why. She works for Lady Lydia, and of all the timing in the world, this is another "you've got to be kidding me" coincidence. This didn't just smell like an accident, it felt bigger than that. Felino, act now. He begs him not to spill that those events are nothing like the game, because of him, and Isaac shoots back, "What does that even mean?" Felina blurts that the swarm already knows about his two big powers, darkness and light, and demands to know if he's the one behind it, while Isaac fires back, asking if he really has those traits at all, except he doesn't even understand what his fault is. Felina remembers Roy wasn't supposed to uncover it, but he already sniffed it out with the hydrangeas. Isaac finally clicks that these are the same hydrangeas he got from the old gardener. Leo picked them himself, and Isaac, he didn't lift a finger. Felina grilled Millie about Lady Lydia. She was supposed to crumple during the dance with Roy, but Millie knew exactly how to pull it off without ruining the moment, and once more, nothing. Isaac swears he remembers zero about the game, just that he's a plain commoner with a tiny spark of magic, so what is he even supposed to do? Felina shrieks that she's a princess with mighty magic, but it changes nothing. Then Isaac snaps that she can't pin everything on him. Felina blurts that she can't stop replaying her helplessness in this life, and Isaac shoots back that she didn't die as young as he did. She snaps, "Of course not, you fool." Then the whole group breathes out because they really did live a full, peaceful life, and Isaac finally settles, satisfied. He asks why she thinks she's some old lady, and she bursts out loud. No, she's got old memories, sure, but she's still just an ordinary 5-year-old girl. She asks if he's a student in his memoirs. Isaac shuts that down instantly too, and just like that, the truth lands. He's nothing special, just an ordinary 8-year-old kid. Felina says it could be because they're stuck inside your star's world, but most of what they remember points back to the game, and the rest is still a total mystery. Now it all clicks, asterisk, that's why she's talking the exact same way as before. Isaac is begging you for the key to forgiveness, because right now, all you two have are those old, bruised memories. But nope, those days with T and Yuka are gone for good, and now they finally get another shot to meet again. He was desperate to apologize for everything, because he'd burned his own life down. When the forecast hit, he cracked, shut his brain off, and let his life spiral, while she and everyone else paid the price for no reason. He was just a downright monster of a person. Selena snaps at him, calling him an idiot, then says her older brother is an idiot too. She squeezes him in a tight hug, and he tells her that her older brother idiot is apologizing. They've finally arrived, and Felina immediately fires off. Whose house is this? Isaac straight up tells her, it's mine. Then he reminds Leo, we'll meet here so I stand out less, and the parents are counting on one thing, they're not expecting the princess, so she should stay hidden under cloaks. And vanish, she agrees, and Isaac rushes back to tell his mom he's home. If Leo is here, she meets him at home, then tilts her head and basically says, wow, you came back fast. Leo still hasn't shown up, so Isaac promises, I'll wait for him right here, while mom demands again why he can't just meet by the fountain. Then Isaac snaps back that something went down today and everything's been shuffled a little. My dad bursts into the room and mom tells me she and Danny were seconds away from going shopping, so now that he's back, he's got to handle the house. Isaac nods, says they should take care of themselves, and even asks them to tell Leo hello. They're walking out right then. Felina blurts, are these your parents in this life? And he stares back like, yeah, he looks just like them. He insists they don't have a bad relationship. Then Felina smiles, he tells her to stop, and Felina shoots back that he shouldn't be so shy. She tells me the guy's name was Danny, and somehow he looked just like their father. Isaac nods along, even though his past father is stuck in the past while his real father stands right there. Yet both of them throw themselves into the work, and Isaac respects them all the more for it. Felina blurts that Tekai has totally changed. Then Tekai fires back that everything's shifted since his past life, and he's right here helping his father with the work. Felina blurts out, do you think we remember past lives? Because he's desperate to fix something he regrets, and Isaac just stalls, chewing on that word, correct, like it might burn. Right then, a knock slammed the door. Outside, someone called out that it was Leo and asked if Isaac was home. Felina heard Roy had arrived too, but just as they were about to speak to Leo, he shoots his hand out, grins, and tells her it's awesome to finally meet him. He calls her Elena, she shoots her hand out, says she's just as thrilled to meet him, and then turning it back on him, she calls him Isaac. He swings the door open, tells Leo he's been waiting, throws out a sincere apology for being late, then leans in and demands to know why Isaac suddenly changed where they were supposed to meet. Isaac yanks the cloak off Felina and tells her she can finally take it off for good now. Roy shoots her a stunned look and blurts, wait Felina, what are you doing here? He tells Matthews to take the guard post and keep watch. Felina erupts in a scream, shouting that he didn't even give her a few seconds to catch her breath, and then demands why he acted like that. Isaac shoots back that it all comes down to the meeting with Leo. Felina presses harder, asking how much longer she thinks she can stay hidden behind him. She snaps, "Idiot," and the prince bursts out laughing. Then he grins and admits it feels like Isaac and Felina just found the same language. Felina refuses at first, then flips the script and admits that he saved her when she got lost in the city. So the prince grills me again, asking how I ended up that way. Leo snaps his cloak up and barks at him to stop tossing things around like a menace. Roy apologizes in a rush and tells you, "Seriously, take better care of your stuff." Fallen blurts out, "I'm sorry for taking this," because all she wanted was to follow him, yet it was his fault for never telling her he went on those walks outside, and she was just dying to see where he disappeared to. Isaac demands that we both admit our guilt, then whips around and asks me what I'm supposed to say, only for everyone to go completely silent. He tells us we've gotta apologize together, something along those lines. Leo nods and promises he'll be smarter next time, and Felina backs him up without missing a beat. Isaac blurts out that he can't stop wondering where he even got this robe, and the prince grins and says he made it himself. Then Isaac demands to know what it feels like. The prince tells him, "I built this from the dark magic I used back when we were hiding from the guards." And then, like the floor drops, he adds that he realized he could tap into other kinds of magic too. Racing through what he just heard, he decided to dig for his choices. Felina stares Isaac. He can't shake the feeling, why is she locked onto him like that? Then he fires back, "Elena only ever talked about his dark magic and you've got two of it. Elena's Russia." They're trying to shut him up and straight up order him to stop talking in public about his two abilities, because in his branch, that painful topic is a landmine. Isaac swears he doesn't care, so he dares the guy to look, and when they do, the prince is grinning. Felina immediately gets it. "Yeah, that's real." He blurts that he's relieved they're so close, then Felina shuts him down. He tells them it's time to head home, then looks at Felina and promises they'll meet again at the palace. She nods, apologizes for interrupting his day, and he waves it all off, telling her not to worry. He's still picking up new things. He clocks her hairstyle, gently strokes her hair, and tells her a ponytail suits her perfectly. Isaac begs them not to spoil his sister like that, and the prince rushes to apologize again, then asks Isaac to tuck the cloak away so nobody else can grab it. Leo turns to Matthias and says they're leaving. Isaac asks if he has to tag along. Leo reassures him not to stress and says they've got it. Then he bids Isaac farewell. Elena calls him close and whispers in his ear that whatever comes next for her, she'll do everything to make Royce smile. Isaac lights up and promises he'll do the same for Melody. And then Felina leans in and cracks a joke. Leo and Matthews stare in disbelief. Why would she kiss him on the ear if she's really in love with Isaac? Felina is screaming that none of it is true, and insisting it wasn't even a kiss. They're riding home in a carriage. Felina, "Tell me right now. Tell Leo she can't fix everything, but if something's eating at him, he should let her in. He can talk to her about anything." He insists it isn't sudden, but Felina's having none of it. She's sure he's plotting something, even if she can't pin down what. Leo throws back a laugh, says to weave intrigues sounds awful, and then asks if Isaac has told her anything. She shuts it down and insists Isaac isn't tangled in any of this. She just wants him to trust her, and that's the only thing she truly wants. She gets it, her older brothers want their own way, but even if he leaves her clueless, her worry won't shut off and he can't stop it. He just grins and says, "Yeah, I can't count on that." Lena blurts, "Why are you laughing?" And she's dead serious. Meanwhile, Matthew's stomach twists just imagining the mountains of cleaning he's about to tackle, but he figures at least those two are having a blast. Isaac and his father are out in the garden, snipping and pruning the roses into shape. Isaac can't shake the question of why he got reborn, and Felina's words hit him hard. Maybe they carry memories from a past life, because he's desperate to set right what he regrets. As the gardener's apprentice, he slipped right into his father's footsteps and somehow felt reborn. Then his dad yanks him back and snaps that he's pruning way too hard. With April nearly gone, the roses must be trimmed now so they'll bloom in May, and for the moment he can't pull it off alone, so his father steps in to help. His father shoves a box of flowers into his hands and orders him to deliver it to the estate, then comes straight back, no questions. Isaac protests, saying he's still not done trimming, but his father won't budge and demands it anyway. Isaac nods and agrees because ever since he met Elena, his mind won't shut off and he feels like he's no longer the same person. He hears Lydia yelling for someone to wait, and then his world flips because it's Melody calling out. Lady Emma barrels in, attacks him, and demands he become her shadow, bound to her side forever. She snaps that his vile dance moves are ruining young girls' progress, and since he's her partner or basically her shadow, he should have kept his skill level up. Isaac cuts in and asks, "What are you talking about?" Emma snatches him by the collar and growls, "Come with me right now." Daya will forgive her for pausing, because she's about to carry Isaac straight into the ballroom. Blurts, "So what do we do now?" She's itching to learn how to dance, but Isaac's seething. He swears he should run back to work, so he nods along and agrees, until he sees the outfit they just dressed him in and it's downright ridiculous. The Duke steps into the doorway, grinning like he owns the moment, and tells him those clothes are his from his youth. Isaac clocks the fact that the Duke isn't busy at all, and the Duke just shrugs, saying everyone needs a break now and then. He's suddenly called in to tell them what outfit is best for dance lessons, and right away he clocks that Isaac is into it. So he leans over and asks Daya, "Is that really true?" And Daya shrugs, saying she thinks it's better, just not by much. Isaac thanks her and leans in, asking how long she's been watching him, and the Duke smirks, saying it's just delicious seeing someone carry your old things. Then he blurts out to Isaac, "Will you let me take you as my son?" Validity lunges in to stop him. Isaac snaps at you, begging you not to joke like that, and the Duke coldly points out that it wasn't him who made the mistake. Even though it's still early, he should totally treat it like a birthday gift. Mildy is stunned and blurts out, "How do you even know my birthday?" The Duke just smirks back, "Of course I know." Since he's a servant in their household, he thinks it's the 9th, and Lydia admits she didn't find out until last year. Isaac can't help replaying what she didn't ask. Emma can't stand this endless nonsense and finally pushes back to get to the real issue. Isaac has to hit every upcoming dance lesson with that lady right by her side as her partner. Still, he tells himself he's just the gardener's student. Problem is, he's buried in work, and if he slips up, his father's going to explode. The Duke promises he'll track down Danny, help him untangle everything, and tells him not to worry, because he knows exactly how it feels to get cornered. So I lean in and ask, "Do you agree?" Sophia's shaking with fear, but she nods, yeah, they agree. With Miss Ella steering him the whole way, he showed up for dance lessons for the next 2 weeks, so before he even realized it, half of May was gone. They stride through the garden and the blue flowers stretch everywhere, so it feels like you're walking straight across the sky. His father pitched the idea of a garden and he blasted through the work to finish it by last week's birthday. Then Prince Roy asked, "Wait, was that birthday last month?" And he just didn't know. Daya, dead honest, admitted that handing her son a full family garden was just too much. Yeah, Isaac couldn't believe his eyes when he found this gorgeous garden planted just for him, and it blew past everything he expected. So tell me, do you think Denny's is playing a little too smart? Isaac kept bugging Leo with one question: what should the shadow be like, but not the one crawling around on Earth? Leo leans in and asks, "Is this about dancing?" Then he admits he just wanted to ask Melita something, only for her to go completely silent. The prince blurts out that the shadow is just the dancer's partner, then demands why it even matters. Isaac answers, "That's what my teacher calls me," and the shock lands, he's here to replace Leo. Daya snaps back, "No, that's not true." She wanted to dance with Prince Roy's shadow, but nobody knew what kind of dance it even was, especially after Emma insisted she was trying to lead him. Everything went sideways fast. It was supposed to be Prince Roy who led, yet she kept pushing for His Majesty to follow her. When the teacher finally said why she couldn't, she spun the whole story, how she used to dance with her eyes pointed outward, then decided it was time to train those eyes with lessons. She swears she never meant to shove him into Prince Roy's spotlight or into anyone else's. Both boys are locked onto her, eyeing every move, and the prince swears he understands it all. But then he remembers how she could dance like a dream last year. If Isaac is her partner, then he's probably got moves for days. I need to see him dance for real. Isaac tells everyone he got a pillbox, and now he dances even worse than before, flailing his hands like he's putting on a ridiculous show. He thought he'd take control of the dance, but instead he just trailed Melody and let her steal the spotlight. Turns out they'd swapped roles and the whole dance ended in this super weird way. Then the teacher blew up in anger and basically told him, "If you're fixing this, you'd better push harder and stand out more." Leo begs him to hit the ball with everyone watching, and even if he hates being the center of attention, that won't stop the plan. Better to train your nerves in front of a roaring crowd than hide away. But Isaac can't shake the fear that he might not pull it off. Leo grins and tells everyone his birthday lands in August, so he can slide in an invite to a friend with zero hassle. Last year he swept the dance floor with everyone, even eyeing the potential brides, but now he's still stuck in limbo. He hates pressure, so he's skipping the festival dance this year. So Lady Lydia needs a partner fast, and all it takes is one presence to fix everything. he turns to Isaac and demands to know what he'll say. He says he's grateful and he'll take it to heart. Then Isaac roars, shouting to make sure anyone is actually hearing him. Lydia tells him he doesn't have to show up if he doesn't want to, then promises she'll go straight to her father to find him a partner. Isaac realizes he's blown it again and has her fuming, then he tells her, "If you truly have no choice, I'll think it through." This is D, baby, yeah, it starts right here. She has to beg the Duke for permission, but he won't give her a second of peace. The Duke leans in and asks if she truly wants to bring Isaac along for His Highness's birthday, and honestly, it's a perfect idea. Lydia fires a question, "Is it true?" And he answers, "Of course, if His Highness asks, I can't refuse." Then Isaac leans in and blurts, "He dances weird and that outfit, also bizarre as hell." The Duke tells Isaac he loves the way he dances, and he's thrilled Lydia will dance with him instead of some random stranger. Isaac nods and agrees on the spot. Then the Duke makes it clear their lessons are about to get tougher, and Isaac can already tell from the trip that they've started picking up the proper etiquette. Training, Isaac leans in and tells you, "Don't you dare add anything to my work." Leo's relieved Isaac's coming to the party, Dia thanks him, and suddenly this isn't just a hangout, it's the perfect chance for Isaac to finally learn. Only Isaac isn't satisfied. He feels the prince keeps badgering him into doing one thing after another, but he insists he's overreacting. Treat it like a gift because his birthday is this month. Isaac can't shake the feeling this is a shady gift he can't possibly refuse, yet he's still baffled about why nobody's handing it to him. Dia seethed because everyone kept handing out gifts like it was nothing. She's left scrambling for the perfect gift, and it turns out his birthday slid by way sooner than she ever expected. Now she's left totally stunned because the message is crystal clear. He's convinced he's not against her giving him something right now, and he's sure he'd light up the second he got that gift from her. If she wants it, he'll help her out. No royal act, just a loyal mutual friend. She nods, cuts right in, and tells him she needs his opinion on this. And she's going to tell him to hold off on his proposal for a moment. She wants to think it through and figure out what she can do for the holidays first. Then she'll give him her answer at the end. The prince gives in. He's not trying to make her answer right this second. Lydia laughs and says she loves it too, and honestly, Isaac in formal attire was the kind of sight he couldn't get enough of. They break into a heated discussion about what gift to give Isaac. He asks if it's an idea, and she swears she'll give him something to hold onto like a memory, because in just 3 months, Lydia has to make her choice.